Nabila Sani stood at the top of the wedding hall steps with her hands locked together, while the whole crowd laughed at the man she was supposed to marry. That was how the day broke open. Not with music, not with dancing, not with happy tears. It started with a camel kneeling beside the gold gate of the biggest wedding hall in the city, and a thin man in a dusty brown robe climbing down from it like he had no shame at all. Nabila did not laugh. She had never been the kind of woman who laughed just because other people laughed. She was the kind of woman who helped servants carry heavy trays when nobody was looking. She was the kind who gave her food to hungry children outside her father's office. She was the daughter people called too soft, too quiet, too easy to step on. But that morning, as her groom stood beside a camel while rich guests covered their mouths and pointed, Nabila felt something inside her stand up. Her younger sister, Ruqayya, leaned out of a white Rolls Royce parked near the red carpet. Her diamond earrings flashed as she laughed so hard her shoulders shook. "Oh no," Ruqayya said loudly. "Please tell me this is not real. Please tell me this is a joke." Her groom, Denzel Hart, stood beside the Rolls Royce with one hand in his pocket. His black suit looked sharp, and his smile looked cruel. He tapped the roof of the car like it was a prize. "Some brides get cars," he said. "Some brides get camels." The guests laughed again. Nabila's face burned, but she did not move. Her wedding dress was simple, a soft cream dress with small beads around the neck. It was not as heavy or shiny as Ruqayya's silver gown. Their mother, Halima Sani, had made that very clear since morning. "Nabila, stand properly," Halima whispered sharply beside her. "Do not make this worse." Nabila turned her eyes to her mother. "How am I making it worse?" Halima's lips tightened. "By standing there like you still want to marry him." Nabila looked back at the gate. Harun Veil stood beside the camel. He was tall, but his clothes made him look poor. His sandals were old. Dust sat on the edge of his robe. His hair was covered with a plain scarf, and he held the camel rope in one hand like he had walked out of a dry road and into the wrong life. But his face was calm. Too calm. He looked at Nabila, not at the laughing people, not at the Rolls Royce, not at Denzel's proud smile. His eyes found hers and stayed there. For 1 second, the noise became small. Then Bashir Sani, her father, stormed down the steps. "Harun!" he shouted. "What is the meaning of this?" The crowd became quiet enough to hear the camel breathe. Harun bowed his head a little. "Good morning, sir." "Do not good morning me," Bashir snapped. "Where is the car you promised to bring? Where are your family members? Where is the groom's convoy?" Harun looked at the camel, then back at Bashir. "This is how I came." Someone at the back laughed. Bashir's eyes widened. "This is how you came to marry my daughter?" "Yes, sir," Harun said. Halima grabbed Nabila's arm. "You hear him? You hear this shame? He is not even sorry." Nabila gently pulled her arm free. "Mama, please. Do not please me," Halima said. "Your sister's groom brought a Rolls Royce." "A Rolls Royce, Nabila. Look at it. Look at your sister. Look at the kind of life waiting for her. Then look at this man and his animal." Ruqayya stepped out of the car, holding up the side of her gown as if the floor was too dirty for her feet. "Sister," she called sweetly, but her eyes were full of mockery. "It is not too late. You can still run inside and hide. We will tell people you got sick." Nabila swallowed. "I am not sick." Denzel laughed under his breath. "Maybe love has made her blind." Harun's eyes moved to Denzel for the first time. He did not speak, but Denzel's smile dropped a little, as if the quiet look touched him in a place he did not like. Bashir pointed at Harun. "You told me you were a traitor." "I am," Harun said. "A traitor of what?" "Camel dust." The guests laughed again, louder this time. Nabila took one step down. Halima caught her wrist. "Where are you going?" "To him," Nabila said. Her mother stared at her. "Have you lost your mind?" "No. You will bring shame on this family." Nabila's voice shook, but she still spoke. "Mama, shame is not a camel. Shame is laughing at a person because he has less than you." Halima gasped like Nabila had slapped her. Ruqayya rolled her eyes. Listen to her. She wants to turn this into a lesson. Nabila looked at her sister. No, I just want people to stop treating him like dirt. Ruqayya walked closer, her silver gown shining under the morning sun. You always do this. You always act like being kind makes you better than us. I never said I was better. You don't have to say it, Ruqayya replied. You show it with that sad face. You show it when you help maids. You show it when you give beggars money. And now look at you, marrying one of them. Nabila's eyes filled with tears, but she did not let them fall. Haroun took one slow step forward. Do not insult her kindness. Denzel moved in front of Ruqayya at once. And what will you do? Haroun looked at him. Nothing here. Denzel smiled again. Good, because this is not the desert. This is a proper place. People like you should know where to stand. Haroun nodded slowly. I know where to stand. Then stand outside the gate, Denzel said. Bashir raised his hand. Enough. Haroun, this wedding is stopped. Nabila's heart jumped. Papa. Bashir turned to her. Go inside. No. The word came out small, but it cut through the air. Bashir stared at her. What did you say? Nabila came down one more step. I said no. Halima covered her mouth. Ruqayya looked shocked for the first time. The guests began whispering. Bashir's voice became low. Nabila, do not test me in front of people. Nabila looked at the Rolls Royce. She looked at her sister's proud face. She looked at Denzel's shiny shoes, then at Haroun's dusty sandals. Then she looked at her father. All my life, she said, I did what you asked. I stayed quiet when Ruqayya took my things. I stayed quiet when people called me the dull daughter. I stayed quiet when you said her wedding must be grand and mine must be small because she chose better. Ruqayya's mouth opened. That is not true. Nabila turned to her. It is true, but I still loved you. The words made Ruqayya look away for a moment. Nabila faced her father again. Haroun did not lie to me. He told me he did not care about showing off. He told me he had little. He told me if I wanted a man people would clap for, I should not choose him. Bashir pointed at the camel. And you chose this? Nabila looked at Haroun. His face was still calm, but his eyes were not empty. There was pain there. He heard every laugh. He felt every insult. He was only holding himself steady. Nabila walked down the last step. Halima cried out, Nabila, come back here. But Nabila kept walking. The red carpet ended before the gate, so her cream dress brushed the dusty ground. People moved aside as she passed. Some looked ashamed. Some still smiled. Some lifted their phones higher. Haroun did not move toward her. He waited, as if the choice had to be fully hers. When Nabila reached him, she stopped beside the camel and looked up at him. I am sorry, she said. Haroun shook his head. You did not do this. They are my family. But you are not their laughter. Nabila's lips trembled. Behind her, Bashir shouted, If you stand beside him, do not come back into my hall. The crowd went silent again. Halima added, Think well, Nabila. Your sister is entering a Rolls Royce today. You want to enter life with a man on a camel. Ruqayya folded her arms. Let her go, Mama. Some people must suffer before they learn. Nabila slowly turned around. Her heart was beating fast, but her voice came out clear. I may suffer, she said, but I will not marry a car. I will marry a man. Denzel laughed once. Beautiful words. Empty life. Haroun held out his hand to Nabila. It was rough, warm, and steady. Nabila placed her hand in his. The camel made a low sound beside them, and some people jumped back. A few guests laughed again, but the laughter was weaker now. Bashir's face hardened. This is your last chance. Nabila looked at her father with tears in her eyes. Then bless me, Papa. I will not bless foolishness. She nodded slowly, and that hurt more than the laughter. Haroun leaned close and spoke softly, only for her. We can leave now. You do not have to face more of this. Nabila looked at the hall, at the Rolls Royce, at her mother's angry tears, at her sister's proud smile, and at all the phones pointed at her face. Then she looked back at Haroun. "No," she said. "We came to marry. Let them watch." For the first time that morning, Haroun's calm face changed. Not into a smile, not fully, but something warm passed through his eyes. He turned toward the gate and helped Nabila stand beside him. The poor groom, the quiet bride, and the camel faced the rich wedding hall together while the whole city watched, waiting to see if love would break under shame. The crowd did not know what to do when Nabila said they came to marry. Some people still held their phones up, but their hands were no longer steady. Some had been laughing only because others laughed. Now they watched her standing beside Haroun and the camel, and the smile on their faces began to fall. Ruqayya was the first to break the silence. "Oh, please," she said, clapping slowly as she walked toward them. "What a strong woman. What a brave bride. What a sweet little story. Should we all cry now?" Nabila held Haroun's hand tighter, but she did not answer her sister. Ruqayya turned to the guests. "You all see this, right? My sister wants us to feel bad because she chose a man who came to his own wedding on a camel." Denzel laughed and opened the back door of the Rolls Royce. "Let her enjoy her love story. You, my queen, should come back to your car before dust touches your dress." Ruqayya smiled at him like he had handed her the moon. She turned slowly so everyone could see her silver gown. Then she touched the shining car with her fingers. "This," she said loudly, "is how a man comes for a woman he values." Halima closed her eyes as if the words hurt her, but she still turned to Nabila with anger in her face. "Did you hear that?" Halima asked. "Your sister is not wrong. A man must show honor to the family he is entering. He must show he can carry you." Nabila looked at the camel, then back at her mother. "He came himself, Mama. He did not send somebody else." Halima stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Do not fight me with small words. This is not a market argument. This is your life. I know it is my life. Then why are you throwing it away?" Nabila's eyes softened. "Because I do not think I am throwing it away." Halima grabbed both of Nabila's hands. The touch was rough, but there was fear inside it. For a short moment, she was not the proud mother of a rich family. She was just a mother scared for her child. "Nabila, listen to me," Halima said. "People will talk. By evening, this thing will be everywhere. They will say Bashir Sani's daughter married a man who could not bring one small car. They will say your sister entered a Rolls Royce while you stood beside a camel like a village joke." Nabila's lips pressed together. Halima continued quickly, "Come inside now. We will say you felt dizzy. We will say the wedding was moved. Your father can fix this. We can still protect your name." "My name?" Nabila asked quietly. "Or the family name?" Halima pulled back as if that question touched a wound. "Both," she said. "No, Mama. Mostly the family name." Halima's eyes filled with angry tears. "Why are you talking like a stranger? This family fed you. This family clothed you. This family gave you a place to stand." Nabila nodded. "And I am thankful. But I am not a chair you can move from one corner to another." Bashir came down the steps again, his face dark and tight. "Nabila," he said, "your mother has begged enough. I am not begging. I am telling you, leave this man now." Haroun spoke before Nabila could answer. "Sir, please do not force her." Bashir turned on him at once. "You do not speak to me. Not after this show." Haroun bowed his head a little. "I did not come to make a show." "Then why did you bring that animal here?" "Because it was what I had in front of me." Denzel laughed from beside the car. "What a poor answer." Haroun looked at him calmly. "It is an honest one." Denzel's smile became thin. "Honesty does not put food on a table." "No," Haroun said, "but lies can take food away from many tables." Denzel's face changed for a small second. It was so fast that most people did not notice it. But Nabila did. She saw the way Denzel's eyes sharpened, like Haroun had stepped too close to something hidden. Ruqayya noticed it too, but she covered it with another laugh. "Denzel does not need to prove anything to a man with dusty feet," she said. "Look at him, Nabila. Really look at your husband. His robe looks tired. His sandals are begging for mercy. Even the camel looks ashamed. Some guests laughed again. The camel turned its head and chewed slowly, as if the whole crowd meant nothing. A small smile almost touched Nabila's face, but it disappeared when Halima squeezed her arm again. "Please," Halima whispered. "Please, my daughter. I know I have been hard on you. I know I praise your sister too much sometimes. But I am begging you now. Do not start your life with shame." Nabila stared at her mother. Those words hurt because they were soft. Hard words were easier to fight. Soft words entered the heart. "Mama," she said, "when I was 10, Ruqayya broke your glass bowl and said I did it." Halima frowned. "Why are you talking about that now?" "Because you beat me for it." Ruqayya rolled her eyes. "Must you bring childhood into everything?" Nabila did not look at her. "I cried all night." The next morning, Ruqayya told me she was sorry, but she also said if I told the truth, nobody would believe me. She said I looked like the kind of child who broke things. Halima's mouth parted. Nabila went on, her voice shaking. "When I was 16, she tore my school dress because she wanted my blue scarf. I still gave it to her. When I was 20, she told her friends I was too plain to marry well. I heard it from the kitchen." Ruqayya's smile dropped. "You have been keeping a book of pain?" "No," Nabila said. "I have been keeping quiet." The words moved through the crowd like a wind. If you're enjoying this video so far, please consider subscribing to my small channel. My wife promised to make me a chocolate chip cookies if I hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of 2026. As it would mean the world to me. That's it, and thanks for listening this far. Now let's continue. Halima looked between her daughters, and for once, she did not know who to defend first. Ruqayya stepped forward. "So because of small sister fights, you want to disgrace all of us?" Nabila turned to her. "No, Ruqayya. I am saying you got used to taking the best part of everything. Today you got the hall. You got the cameras. You got the car. You got the praise. But you still want to take my choice too." Ruqayya pointed at Haroun. "That is not a choice. That is punishment." Haroun's hand stayed steady in Nabila's. Bashir raised his voice. "Enough. I will not let this family wash itself outside." He faced the guests and forced a tight smile. "Please, everyone, return inside. There has been a small delay." Nobody moved. Denzel leaned close to Ruqayya and said, loud enough for people near them to hear, "Your father should send security. This poor man came to turn your wedding into a roadside show." Haroun heard him. Nabila felt his hand shift a little, but he remained calm. Then something strange happened. At the far side of the road, beyond the parked cars, two men stood under a tree. They wore plain dark clothes. They were not guests. They were too still. They did not laugh. They did not talk. One of them held a phone to his ear, but his eyes stayed on Haroun. Nabila noticed them because Haroun noticed them first. His head turned only a little, but his body became different. Not scared. Alert. "Do you know them?" Nabila whispered. Haroun looked back at her. "No one you need to fear." That answer did not calm her. It made her heart beat faster. At the same time, Denzel saw the men too. His eyes narrowed. "Who are those people?" Ruqayya followed his gaze. "Maybe more Camel friends." But Denzel did not laugh this time. One of the strange men gave Haroun a small nod. So small that it almost looked like nothing. Haroun's face did not change, but his fingers gently pressed Nabila's hand, as if telling her to stay steady. Halima did not see any of that. She was still begging. "Nabila," she said, "last chance. Come inside with me. Remove this dress. Cry if you want. Hate me if you want. But one day you will thank me." Nabila looked at her mother with pain in her eyes. "Mama, I have thanked you for many things, but I will not thank you for making me afraid to live." Halima shook her head. "Love will not save you when hunger comes." Haroun spoke softly. "I will not let her go hungry." Bashir laughed in anger. "With what? Camel milk?" Denzel chuckled, and Ruqayya covered her mouth. Haroun did not defend himself. That made Bashir even angrier. "Why are you so calm?" Bashir asked. Are you not ashamed? Haroun looked at him. I am sad, sir. Not ashamed. Sad. Yes. Sad that your daughter is kind, but you think kindness is cheap. Sad that she is brave, but you call it foolishness. Sad that you raised a woman with a good heart, but you are asking her to hide that heart because of people watching. The crowd became quiet again. Bashir's face twitched, but he said nothing. Ruqayya stepped into the silence. Beautiful speech. Still no car. Haroun looked at her. Cars can be rented. Denzel's head snapped up. The words were simple, but they landed hard. Ruqayya's eyes flashed. What is that supposed to mean? Haroun bowed his head. Nothing for today. Denzel shut the Rolls Royce door harder than he needed to. Mind your mouth. Haroun looked at him calmly. I am minding many things. Nabila looked from Haroun to Denzel, then to the strange men under the tree. Something was happening, but she did not understand it yet. All she knew was that Haroun was not afraid of Denzel. Not even a little. Bashir pointed toward the hall. Nabila, I will ask one final time. Are you coming inside with your mother? Or are you standing outside with him? Nabila felt every eye on her. Ruqayya stood beside the Rolls Royce, bright and proud. Halima stood with tears on her face. Bashir stood like a wall. Denzel stood like a man who had already won. Haroun stood beside a camel, dusty and quiet, but his hand never let hers go. Nabila lifted her chin. I am standing with him, she said. Halima cried out and covered her face. Bashir took one step back, like his own daughter had pushed him. Ruqayya shook her head. Then enjoy your camel marriage. Nabila looked at her sister for a long moment. Enjoy your Rolls Royce too. Denzel opened the car door again, and Ruqayya climbed in slowly, making sure everyone watched. The engine started with a soft, rich sound. People turned toward it because rich things always pulled eyes. But Nabila did not look away from Haroun. Behind the tree, the strange men were still watching. And as the Rolls Royce rolled forward, shining like a dream, the camel beside Nabila lowered its head calmly. As if it knew a secret the whole crowd did not know yet. The Rolls Royce rolled past the wedding gate slowly, shining so bright that the sun seemed to sit on its white body. Ruqayya leaned back in the soft seat like a queen, but she still turned her head to look at Nabila through the window. Her face said one thing: you will regret this. Nabila stood beside Haroun and watched the car move toward the hall entrance. People clapped for Ruqayya and Denzel, but the clapping did not sound happy anymore. It sounded forced, like everyone was trying to cover the heavy shame that had fallen over the place. Haroun leaned close to Nabila. Are you all right? Nabila let out a small breath. I don't know. That is an honest answer. She looked at him. Are you all right? Haroun looked toward the hall, where Bashir stood stiff and angry, and Halima wiped her tears with the edge of her wrapper. I have been insulted before, Haroun said. But today they insulted you because of me. That part is hard. Nabila shook her head. No, they insulted me because I refused to obey them. Haroun studied her face. You can still stop. Nabila frowned. Why do you keep saying that? Because I need your yes to be free, not forced by anger, not pushed by pride, not made because people are watching. Nabila looked down at their joined hands. His hand was rough, and there was dust near his wrist, but the way he held her hand was gentle. My yes is mine, she said, and I am not giving it back. Haroun's eyes softened, but before he could answer, Bashir came toward them again with 2 security men behind him. Nabila, Bashir said, his voice low and dangerous. You have made your point. Now stop this foolish play and come inside. Nabila turned to him. Papa, we are not playing. Bashir looked at Haroun. You will not marry her here. Haroun answered calmly. Then where will you allow us to marry, sir? I will allow nothing. Nabila stepped in front of Haroun. Papa, please. Do not please me, Bashir snapped. You stood in front of everyone and chose shame over your family. What do you want from me now? I want you to bless me. Bashir's face tightened like the words burned him. Never. Halima came down the steps quickly. Bashir, please. People are watching. Let them watch, Bashir said. Since she wants the whole world to see, let them see. Halima faced Nabila. Her eyes were red now, and her voice was softer than before. My daughter, don't do this outside like a roadside woman. At least come inside. Let us talk. Nabila looked past her mother into the hall. Inside, workers were moving golden chairs. Flowers hung from the walls. Big lights shone on the stage. The place had been built to show people who had money and who did not. Then she looked at the gate, the road, the camel, and the open sky. No, Mama, she said. If my wedding is shameful to you, then let it happen where your guests can leave if they want. Halima pressed her hand to her chest. You are breaking me. Nabila's voice shook. I have been breaking quietly for years, Mama. You just never heard the sound. For a moment, Halima had no answer.
Creating these long, wholesome videos for you takes a lot of time and dedication. If you want to directly support our channel and help us keep making them, please consider grabbing our Stories for the Soul bundle. Scanning the QR code on your screen or clicking the link below helps us tremendously. Thank you so much for being a part of our family.
One of the security men moved closer to Haroun. Sir, you need to leave the front gate. Haroun looked at him. I will leave after I marry my bride. The guard looked at Bashir, waiting for order. Bashir raised his hand, but before he spoke, an old man from the crowd stepped forward. He wore a brown cap and held a small book in his hand. He had been sitting quietly near the entrance since morning. Bashir, the old man said, do not make your anger bigger than your daughter's day. Bashir turned sharply. Elder Musa, please stay out of this. The old man walked closer. I cannot. I was called here to pray at the wedding. If the hall rejects them, the sky has not rejected them. A whisper moved through the crowd. Denzel, who had come back from parking the Rolls Royce near the steps, laughed coldly. So now we are having a camel wedding with sky blessing. Wonderful. Ruqayya stood beside him, her arm linked through his. This is getting worse every minute. Elder Musa ignored them and faced Nabila. Child, do you still want this man? Nabila looked at Haroun. Yes, she said. The elder looked at Haroun. And you? Do you still want this woman, even after her family has poured fire on your head? Haroun did not look at anyone else. He looked only at Nabila. Yes, he said. More than before. The answer made Nabila's eyes fill with tears again. Bashir stepped forward. I forbid this. Elder Musa turned to him. You can refuse your blessing. You cannot own her heart. Bashir looked shocked. You speak against me in my own event? I speak for peace, Elder Musa said. And peace is not always on the side of pride. Denzel clapped once, slowly. Beautiful, very touching. But who will feed them after the sky finishes blessing them? Haroun turned his head a little. Why does my hunger worry you so much? Denzel's smile faded. It doesn't. Then stop speaking about it. The words were quiet, but the crowd heard them. Ruqayya's face hardened. Denzel, don't waste your time. Let them finish this poor show. Nabila looked at her sister. You can go inside, Ruqayya. I will, Ruqayya said. But I want to watch the moment you throw your life away. Nabila nodded slowly. Then watch well. Elder Musa pointed to a small open space beside the gate, where the red carpet ended and the dusty ground began. Stand there, both of you. Haroun led Nabila gently to the spot. The camel stayed beside them, calm and quiet. Some guests moved closer. Others stayed far back, whispering. A few workers came out from the hall and stood near the door with trays still in their hands. Halima began crying again. Bashir, stop her. Please stop her. Bashir's jaw shook. Let her do it. Let her learn. Nabila heard him, and the words hit her chest like a stone. But she stayed where she was. Elder Musa opened his small book, but before he could speak, he looked at the phones in the crowd. Put those phones down, he said. Nobody moved at first. The elder's voice grew stronger. I said put them down. This is not a show for hungry eyes. This is a marriage. One by one, some people lowered their phones. Not everyone, but enough for the air to feel less cruel. Elder Musa looked at Haroun. Do you promise to care for Nabila? Not only when life is easy, but when people laugh, when roads are dry, when food is little, when her heart is tired? Haroun held Nabila's hand with both of his hands. I promise, he said. I will not make her beg for kindness in her own home. I will not use my voice to crush her. I will protect her name, her peace, and her heart. Nabila's lips trembled. No rich gift had ever sounded so large to her. Elder Musa turned to her. Nabila, do you promise to walk with Haroun? Not because he came with gold, not because people clapped, but because you have chosen him with clear eyes? Nabila looked at the dusty robe, the old sandals, the camel, and the man who had stood quiet while everyone tried to break him. I promise, she said. I will walk with him. I will not be ashamed of him. I will not let people's laughter choose my life. Ruqayya made a small sound of disgust. She sounds like a film. Halima shot her a look. Enough, Ruqayya. Ruqayya blinked. It was the first time her mother had spoken to her that way that day. Elder Musa lifted his hand over the couple. Then before God, before the sky, before these people, and before the truth that will one day speak for itself, I bless this marriage. Nabila closed her eyes. The crowd was silent. Then one person clapped. It was a young maid from inside the hall, still holding a tray of untouched drinks. She clapped softly, afraid at first. Then another worker clapped. Then an older woman near the gate clapped too. Soon, a small, unsure sound rose from the side of the crowd. It was not loud. It was not grand. It was nothing like the praise Ruqayya had received beside the Rolls Royce. But to Nabila it felt real. Bashir turned away in anger. Halima covered her face and cried quietly. Ruqayya stared at the clapping workers like they had insulted her. Denzel leaned down to her ear. Let us go inside. This nonsense has taken enough of your shine. But Ruqayya did not move. Her eyes stayed on Nabila, who now stood as Haroun's wife. Haroun gently wiped one tear from Nabila's cheek with his thumb. You are sure? He whispered. Nabila gave a weak smile. You ask too many questions. For you, I will ask as many as needed. She almost laughed, but the pain in her chest held it back. Elder Musa handed Nabila's hand fully into Haroun's. Go now. Do not stand here for more stones. Haroun nodded. Thank you, sir. Bashir spoke without turning around. If she leaves with you, she leaves without this family. Nabila froze. Haroun looked at her but said nothing. The whole place waited. Nabila turned slowly toward her father. Papa, I am not leaving the family. I am leaving this gate. Bashir faced her then. His eyes were hard, but there was hurt under them. Do not come back crying. Nabila swallowed. I pray I will not have to. Halima took one step forward, but Bashir held her wrist. Let her go. Nabila looked at her mother one last time. Mama. Halima's mouth shook. She wanted to speak. Nabila could see it, but fear of Bashir, fear of guests, and fear of shame tied her tongue. So Nabila turned away before her heart broke again. Haroun helped her climb onto the camel first. The guests gasped and whispered, but Nabila held the front of the saddle and sat as straight as she could. Her wedding dress fell softly over the camel's side, cream cloth against brown fur. Haroun climbed up behind her and took the rope. Ruqayya laughed one final time, but her voice sounded smaller now. Goodbye, sister. Send me a letter from the sand. Nabila did not answer. Haroun clicked his tongue gently, and the camel rose. Nabila held her breath as it lifted them high above the ground. For a moment, she could see everyone clearly. Her father's anger, her mother's tears, her sister's sharp face, Denzel's careful eyes, the guests, the workers, the hall, the Rolls Royce. Then the camel began to walk. Slowly, they left the Golden Gate behind. Nobody saw the 3 black cars that started moving after them from the far end of the road. The cars kept a careful distance, quiet and smooth, with dark glass that showed no faces inside. But Haroun saw them in a side mirror hanging near a parked truck. He did not turn his head. He only placed one steady hand near Navila's waist so she would not fall, and he guided the camel forward under the hot sun, away from the hall, away from the laughter, and into a life Navila still did not understand. The camel walked away from the golden wedding hall with slow, heavy steps, and Navila kept one hand on the front of the saddle so she would not slip. Behind her, Haroun sat steady like he had done this all his life. His other hand stayed near her waist, not touching too much, only close enough to catch her if she lost balance. For a while, Navila said nothing. The city road stretched ahead. Cars passed them slowly because people wanted to stare. Some drivers laughed. Some pointed. One woman in a taxi shook her head with pity. A boy selling water bottles ran beside them for a few seconds, looking at Navila's wedding dress. "Auntie," the boy called, "is this your real wedding?" Navila looked at him and almost smiled. "Yes." The boy looked at Haroun. "On a camel?" Haroun nodded. "On a camel." The boy grinned. "That is better than a car. Cars get stuck in traffic." Navila laughed softly before she could stop herself. Haroun looked at her with quiet surprise. "That is the first laugh I have heard from you today." "It escaped," she said. "Then I am glad it did." For a small moment, the pain in her chest became lighter. But when they turned off the main road, she noticed one of the black cars far behind them. Its windows were dark. It moved slowly when they moved and slowed when they slowed. Navila's smile faded. "Haroun." "Yes. That car has been behind us for a long time." Haroun did not turn around. "I know." Her body became stiff. "You know?" "Yes." "Should I be scared?" "No. That is not an answer. It is the answer I can give for now." Navila turned her head as much as she could. "For now." Haroun's voice stayed calm. "Some things are better explained when you are sitting down and not on top of a camel in a wedding dress." Navila stared ahead again, but her heart began to beat faster. "Haroun, I married you today. I stood against my family for you. Do not start hiding things from me now." His silence made her fear grow. Then he said, "I will not lie to you, but you may keep quiet?" He let out a slow breath. "Yes, I may keep quiet until the right time." Navila did not like that answer, but she also heard the sadness in it. They left the city slowly. Tall buildings became smaller shops. Shops became dusty roads. Dusty roads became dry land with low trees and wide open space. The camel kept walking as if it knew the way. After some time, they reached a small house near the edge of the desert road. It had brown walls, a flat roof, and a short fence made from old wood. A water pot sat near the door. There was no grand gate, no fine car, no flowers, no music. Navila looked at the house, then at Haroun. "This is where we will live?" she asked. "For now," he said. There was that same answer again. "For now." Before she could ask more, the door opened, and an old man hurried out. He wore a plain white cap and a clean long shirt. Behind him came a woman with a scarf tied around her head. The old man stopped when he saw Haroun. His eyes grew wide. Then he bowed deeply. "My lord," the old man said. Navila froze. Haroun climbed down quickly and lifted one hand. "Karim, no." The old man straightened at once, looking nervous. "Forgive me. I forgot myself." Navila stared at Haroun. "My lord." Haroun did not look at her. "Karim has a dramatic mouth." The old woman beside Karim bowed her head too. "Welcome, sir." Haroun gave her a gentle look. "Thank you, Zainab." Navila climbed down with Haroun's help. Her feet touched the dry ground, and she turned to Karim. "Why did you call him that?" Karim opened his mouth, but Haroun looked at him. The old man shut his mouth so fast that Navila noticed. Haroun said, "He has known my family for a long time." Navila's eyes narrowed. "That does not answer the question." "I know." Karim quickly took the camel rope. "I will feed Sable." Navila looked at the camel. "The camel has a name?" Haroun nodded. "Sable. And you did not tell me? You had many other problems today." She almost laughed again, but the look on Karim's face stopped her. The old man was not treating Haroun like a poor trader. He was treating him like someone important. Zainab came forward and touched Nabila's hands with care. "My daughter, come inside. You must be tired." Nabila followed her into the house. Inside, the room was simple but clean. A woven mat lay on the floor. 2 wooden chairs stood by a small table. A clay jug of water sat in the corner. There were no pictures on the wall except one small drawing of a desert tree. Zainab brought water in a cup. Nabila drank slowly. "Thank you." Zainab smiled. "You are welcome." Haroun stood near the door, watching Nabila like he was trying to read whether she regretted everything. She placed the cup down. "Do not look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like I may run." "Will you?" Nabila looked around the small room. "I will not run because the house is small." Haroun stepped closer. "Then why would you run?" She looked straight at him. "Because I do not know what you are hiding." The room became quiet. Karim entered with his head lowered. "Sir, the men are outside." Nabila's body stiffened. "What men?" Haroun turned to Karim. "Tell them to wait." Karim nodded and left again. Nabila stood up. "No, no more waiting." "Are those the men from the road?" Haroun rubbed his forehead. "Yes." "Who are they?" "People who make sure I am safe." Nabila stared at him. "Poor desert traders do not have people following them to make sure they are safe." Haroun looked at her, and for the first time since the wedding gate, his calm face showed tiredness. "I did not say I was poor," he said. Nabila's mouth parted. "Everyone thought you were." "I know. Did you want them to think that?" He did not answer quickly. Nabila stepped back. "Haroun." "Yes," he said. "I wanted them to think I had nothing they could use." Her voice became small. "Even me?" He shook his head at once. "No, never you. But you let me stand there. You let them laugh. You let my father call you shame. You let my sister insult you." "I did." "Why?" "Because if I had come with a convoy, they would have loved the convoy. If I had come with gold, they would have blessed the gold. If I had come with guards, they would have bowed to fear. I needed to know what you would choose when there was nothing shining around me." Nabila's eyes filled with hurt. "So today was a test?" Haroun looked down. "Part of it." The words cut her deeply. She turned away and held the back of the wooden chair. "I thought I was choosing a simple life with a simple man." "You still chose a man," Haroun said quietly. "Not his things. But you did not let me choose with full truth." He had no answer for that. Outside, a car door shut. Nabila looked toward the window and saw the black cars parked beyond the fence. Men stood beside them, straight and still. "Who are you?" she whispered. Haroun came closer but stopped when she stepped away. "I am Haroun Vale," he said. "That is a name. I am asking who you are." Before he could answer, the scene changed far away at the wedding hall. Ruqayya sat inside the Rolls Royce while Denzel drove slowly around the front of the hall. Guests cheered again, and phones came up again. This was the moment Ruqayya wanted people to remember. Not the camel, not Nabila, not Elder Musa's small blessing outside the gate. Ruqayya smiled and waved through the open window. "Drive slower," she told Denzel. "Let them see." Denzel smiled, but his eyes stayed on the mirrors. "They have seen enough." "No, they have not. My sister tried to steal attention with that camel mess. I will not let people remember her today." Denzel's hand tightened on the wheel. "Stop talking about your sister." Ruqayya turned to him. "Why?" "Because she chose her life. You chose yours." She blinked. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means you are my wife now. Your focus should be me." Ruqayya laughed softly. "I was only saying. I heard what you were saying." His voice was not loud, but it was hard. Ruqayya's smile faded. Denzel drove toward the side entrance, away from the crowd. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To rest. But the guests are waiting. My mother will ask for me." Denzel stopped the car near a quiet wall and turned to face her. "Your mother does not lead you anymore." Ruqayya stared at him. "Excuse me?" He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. "You wanted a man with power. I am that man, but power needs order. I do not like how you are speaking to me. You will get used to it. Ruqayya pulled back. Denzel. He reached across and gently touched the diamond necklace around her throat. The touch looked soft, but his fingers held it in place. This necklace, he said, came from me. The car came from me. The new house came from me. The life you want came from me. Ruqayya swallowed. I know. Good. Then do not embarrass me by running your mouth about your sister all day. Her eyes flashed with anger, but she saw the coldness in his face and forced herself to smile. Fine, she said. I will stop. Denzel leaned back. Good girl. The words made her stomach turn, but she said nothing. Back at the small desert house, Nabila sat on the wooden chair while Haroun stood by the door. The black cars were still outside. Kareem spoke softly to one of the men, and the man listened like Kareem was only passing a message from someone above them. Nabila looked at Haroun again. I need the truth, she said. Haroun nodded slowly. You will have it. When? Soon. She gave a sad laugh. You like that word too. He stepped closer. This time she did not move away. I know I hurt you, he said. But today, when everyone laughed, you did not laugh. When they gave you a way out, you stayed. When your father closed the hall, you still stood beside me. Nabila looked up at him. Do not turn my pain into praise. Haroun's face fell. I am sorry. She looked toward the window again, watching the strange men and the black cars. Then she said, I will stay tonight. Haroun nodded, but relief passed through his eyes. Nabila lifted one finger. But tomorrow, no more half answers. Haroun held her gaze. Tomorrow, I will tell you more. Outside, Sable the camel made a low sound near the fence, and the men in dark clothes turned their heads at once, as if even the camel belonged to something bigger than Nabila could see. Inside the small house, Nabila sat in her wedding dress, tired and confused, knowing one thing clearly. The man on the camel was not an ordinary man. That night, Nabila did not sleep well. She lay on a small bed in the back room of the desert house, still hearing the laughter from the wedding gate in her head. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw Ruqayya in the white Rolls Royce, smiling like she had won the whole world. Then she saw Haroun standing beside Sable the camel, calm while everyone threw cruel words at him. By morning, the sun had already climbed high when Nabila came out of the room in a simple blue dress Zainab had given her. Her wedding dress was folded neatly on a wooden chair. It looked tired, like it had lived a whole year in one day. Haroun was outside near the fence, speaking quietly to one of the men in dark clothes. When he saw Nabila, he stopped talking at once. That made her heart tighten. The man bowed his head and walked away. Nabila stood by the door. You said today would not be half answers. Haroun turned fully to her. Good morning. Good morning is not an answer. Kareem, who was pouring water for Sable, quickly looked down and found something very important to do with the bucket. Haroun came closer, slow and careful. You are right. Nabila folded her arms. Then start. He looked toward the wide dry road, then back at her. I am not a poor man. Nabila waited. Haroun continued. But I do live simply. I trade across desert roads, land, transport, food supplies, some other things. Some other things? She asked. I said I would not lie. I did not say I could tell every name today. Her face fell. Haroun. I know, he said quickly. I know that sounds unfair, but there are people who will use any name I give you before I am ready. Ready for what? To protect you from it. Nabila shook her head. You are speaking like danger is standing beside us. Haroun looked past her at the black cars outside the fence. It is always near people with power. She let out a small, tired laugh. So now you have power too? Yes, he said. The simple answer made her quiet. Before she could ask the next question, Kareem hurried toward them with a phone in his hand. Madam Nabila, forgive me. Your mother is calling. She called many times. Nabila's chest tightened. My mother. Kareem gave her the phone. Haroun looked at her. You do not have to answer. Nabila looked at the screen. Halima Sani. She is still my mother, Nabila said. She answered. At first, there was only breathing on the other end. Then Halima's voice came, low and broken. Nabila? Mama, my daughter. Halima started crying at once. Nabila gripped the phone tighter. All the anger she had carried since yesterday softened at the sound of her mother's tears. Mama, what happened? Where are you? I am safe. Are you sure? Did he hurt you? Did that man hurt you? Nabila looked at Haroun. His face became still, but he did not speak. No, Mama. He did not hurt me. Halima cried harder. Then come home. Please come home. Nabila's heart pulled toward the voice. Papa said I should not come back crying. Forget what your father said. That made Nabila freeze. Her mother never said that. Mama, what is wrong? There was a long pause. Then Halima whispered, something is wrong with Denzel. Nabila sat slowly on the small wooden bench by the door. What do you mean? Halima lowered her voice even more. After the wedding, he took Ruqayya away before the guests finished eating. Your father was angry because people were asking questions. This morning, men came to the house. They said your father signed papers for Denzel. What papers? I do not know. Loan papers, business papers. Your father shouted that he did not sign anything. But the men showed his name. His name, Nabila. His stamp too. Nabila looked up at Haroun, and he was watching her closely. Mama, where is Ruqayya? She is with Denzel. She called me this morning and told me not to disturb them. But her voice was strange. Strange how? Like she was not alone. Nabila stood. Mama, call her again. I did. She is not picking now. Nabila's eyes filled with worry. And Papa, your father has gone to Denzel's office. He said nobody should call you. He said this is not your business anymore. Nabila closed her eyes for a second. That sounded like Bashir. Even in trouble, pride still sat beside him. Mama, send me Denzel's office address. Halima became quiet. You will come. Nabila looked at Haroun. I don't know yet. Haroun's face tightened. Halima said, your sister was cruel yesterday. I know, but she is still your sister. I know, Mama. And your father? Halima stopped, then continued with pain in her voice. Your father is proud. Too proud. But if this thing is true, it will break him. Nabila swallowed. Send me the address. I will. The call ended, and Nabila stood with the phone in her hand. Haroun spoke first. What did she say? Nabila told him everything. She told him about the papers, the loans, Denzel's office, Ruqayya's strange voice, and Bashir going there with anger. Haroun listened without cutting in. But the more she spoke, the more his face changed. Not with surprise, with the look of a man hearing something he already feared. When she finished, Nabila stepped closer. You knew something was wrong with him. Haroun did not deny it. I suspected. Why did you not say anything yesterday? Would your family have listened to me? Nabila opened her mouth. Then
Creating these long, wholesome videos for you takes a lot of time and dedication. If you want to directly support our channel and help us keep making them, please consider grabbing our Stories for the Soul bundle. Scanning the QR code on your screen or clicking the link below helps us tremendously. Thank you so much for being a part of our family.
closed it. Haroun continued, yesterday, I was the man with the camel. If I had said Denzel was dangerous, they would have laughed harder. Your father would have called it jealousy. Your sister would have turned it into another show. Nabila pressed the phone to her chest. But now my mother is scared. Yes. So we go. No. The answer came so fast that she stared at him. What do you mean, no? Haroun's voice stayed calm, but his eyes were serious. You do not run into a fire just because you hear someone crying inside. That is my family. I know. My sister may be trapped. I know. My father may be walking into trouble right now. I know that too. Then why are you standing there like a stone? Haroun stepped closer. Because Denzel is not a small trouble. Men like him do not borrow money with fake papers unless someone is behind him or unless he is already desperate. If your father walks in shouting, Denzel will not become honest. He will hide more. Nabila shook her head. You are asking me to sit here and wait. I am asking you to let me find the truth first. I don't need all the truth to help my mother. You need enough truth to not make things worse. Nabila's eyes burned. You keep saying truth, 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 but you still have not given me yours. That hit him. He looked away for a moment. Inside the house, Zainab stood quietly by the kitchen door. Kareem had stopped pouring water. Even Sable seemed still near the fence. Haroun turned back to Nabila. If I tell you to trust me right now, will that be too much? Yes, she said. It will. He nodded slowly. Fair. Then he turned to the man in dark clothes near the first black car. Malik. The man came at once. Sir. Nabila watched the man bow his head again. Haroun said, find out where Bashir Sani is. Find out who holds the loan papers. Find out if Ruqayya Sani Hart is safe. Quietly. Yes, sir. And no one touches Denzel yet. Malik nodded. Understood. Nabila stared at Haroun as Malik walked away. You can do that? She asked. I can ask. No, she said. You did not ask like a normal man. You ordered. Haroun held her eyes. Yes. Before Nabila could speak again, the story shifted back to the city, where Bashir Sani pushed through the glass doors of Denzel's office with two of his own men behind him. Denzel's office was on the top floor of a tall building. The walls were shiny. The chairs were soft. The air smelled like cold money. But Bashir did not look impressed. He marched straight to the front desk. I want Denzel Hart now, he said. The young woman at the desk looked scared. Sir, he is in a meeting. Bashir slammed one hand on the desk. Tell him Bashir Sani is here. Before she could move, a door opened, and Denzel stepped out in a dark blue suit. He looked fresh, clean, and calm, like yesterday's wedding had not left any dust on him. Father, Denzel said with a smile. What a surprise. Bashir pointed a paper at him. Do not call me father. What is this? Denzel glanced at the paper. A business matter. With my name. With your support. I gave no support. Denzel's smile stayed in place. You gave your daughter. Bashir stepped closer. Do not play with me. Ruqayya appeared behind Denzel. Her hair was perfect, but her face looked pale. She saw her father and moved toward him. Papa. Denzel caught her wrist gently, but the hold stopped her in place. Bashir saw it. Remove your hand from my daughter. Denzel's eyes turned cold. She is my wife. She is my daughter first. Ruqayya looked between them. Please, both of you not here. Bashir looked at her. Did you know about these papers? No, Ruqayya said quickly. Denzel's fingers tightened on her wrist. Careful, love. Her lips shook. Bashir's voice lowered. What did you do? Denzel smiled again. What every smart man does. I used a good family name to open doors. Your name opened many doors, Bashir. You should be proud. Bashir's face went red. You thief. Denzel's smile disappeared. Mind your words in my office. Your office. Bashir laughed with anger. How much of this office is even yours? For the first time, Denzel looked truly angry. Ruqayya whispered, Denzel, please. He turned to her. Go inside. I want to stay. I said go inside. The room went quiet. Bashir stared at his daughter, and shame crossed his face because he finally saw the cage inside the shine. Ruqayya's eyes filled with tears, but she obeyed. She walked back into the room slowly, the same woman who had laughed from a Rolls Royce now moving like a child afraid of punishment. Back at the desert house, Nabila waited with both hands pressed together while Haroun stood near the door. She did not know what was happening in the city yet, but she felt it. Something had started to break. I have to go to her, she said softly. Haroun looked at her with deep care. Not yet. Nabila's face twisted with pain. She laughed at me, Haroun. She hurt me. But if he hurts her, I cannot sit here. I am not asking you to sit forever, he said. I am asking you to wait until we know where to step. Nabila turned away, fighting tears. Haroun came closer but did not touch her. Your kindness is why I chose you, but kindness without care can walk into a trap. She looked at him. And what if waiting makes me cruel? Then I will carry that blame with you. Outside, Malik's black car pulled away from the fence and sped toward the city. Nabila watched it go, her heart divided between the family that had rejected her and the husband who still carried too many secrets. By sunset, one thing was clear. The Rolls Royce that had made everyone clap was no longer looking like a gift. It was starting to look like a locked door. By sunset, the desert house felt smaller than before. Nabila sat near the window, watching the road where Malik's black car had disappeared hours ago. The sky had turned orange, and the dry wind pushed sand across the ground in small lines. Inside the house, Zainab moved quietly with plates of food, but Nabila had no hunger in her stomach. Haroun stood outside with Karim, speaking in low voices. Every few moments he looked toward the road. He was waiting too, but he was better at hiding it. Nabila could not hide anything anymore. She stood up and walked outside. Haroun stopped talking when he saw her. I need to know what is happening, Nabila said. Haroun looked at Karim. The old man bowed his head and walked away, leaving them alone near the fence. Nabila, Haroun said gently, Malik will return soon. You keep asking me to wait. I know, and you keep telling me half of things. I know that too. She stepped closer. My sister may be in trouble. My father may be trapped by papers he did not sign. My mother is scared. And I am here, in a house I do not understand, with men outside who bow to you and call you sir. How long do you expect me to keep standing in the dark? Haroun's face tightened with pain. Not much longer. Nabila shook her head. No, not that word again. No more soon. No more later. No more when the time is right. Before Haroun could answer, the sound of a car came from the road. Nabila turned fast. Malik's black car came into view, but it was not alone. Two more black cars followed behind it. They stopped outside the fence, and Malik stepped out first. He walked straight to Haroun, his face serious. Sir, Malik said. Haroun's voice became low. Speak. Malik glanced at Nabila. Haroun said, She hears it. Malik nodded. Bashir Sani is safe for now. He went to Denzel Hart's office. There was a loud argument, but no one touched him. Denzel has used the Sani family name on 3 loan files, 2 banks and 1 private lender. Nabila held her chest. My father did not sign them. We believe the stamps are copied, Malik said. Not cleanly, but enough to scare people. Haroun's eyes narrowed. And Ruqayya? Malik's face softened a little. She is in Denzel's building. She is alive. But she is not free to move as she wishes. Nabila's throat closed. What does that mean? It means he is watching her, Malik said. He has taken her phone more than once. She called your mother only when he was beside her. Nabila turned to Haroun. I am going there. No, Haroun said. She stared at him. Did you not hear what he said? I heard. Then move. Nabila, if you go there now, Denzel will use you too. I do not care. I care. The words came out strong, and she stopped. Haroun stepped closer. I care because you are my wife. I care because your sister's danger is real, but so is yours. Denzel is already using your father's name. If he sees you come in anger, he will turn your heart against you. Nabila's eyes filled with tears. So what do we do? Haroun looked at Malik. Prepare the road. Malik nodded. It is ready. Nabila frowned. What road? Haroun looked at her, and something in his eyes changed. The hiding was ending. I need to take you somewhere, he said. Where? Home. Nabila looked back at the small brown house. This is not your home? No, Haroun said. This was the place I could bring you without the world following us. Nabila's heart began to beat hard again. Then where is your home? Haroun held out his hand. Come and see. She looked at his hand for a long moment. Yesterday she had taken that hand in front of everyone, when he looked poor and the world laughed. Now that same hand felt heavier because it carried secrets. Still, she placed her hand in his. They entered the middle black car. This time, Haroun did not ride Sable. Malik sat in the front seat, and another man drove. The car moved away from the small house and entered the deeper desert road. For a long time, Nabila said nothing. The road became quiet. The city was far behind them now. The sand spread wide on both sides, and the sky became darker. After some time, small lights appeared far ahead, like stars had fallen onto the ground. Nabila leaned forward. "What is that?" Haroun looked ahead. "My home." The car passed between two tall stone pillars. Men in clean uniforms stood there. When they saw Haroun, they bowed their heads, and the heavy gate opened without anyone asking a question. Nabila's mouth slowly opened. The place inside was not a house. It was a hidden estate in the desert, wide and bright, with stone paths, palm trees, water fountains, and tall buildings made from cream-colored stone. Warm lights shone from the walls. Trucks stood in one large area. Fine cars stood in another. Men and women moved with order, carrying files, speaking into phones, checking tablets, and giving directions. Nabila turned to Haroun. "What is this?" Haroun did not answer at once. The car stopped in front of a large building with wide steps. The doors opened before they reached them. A woman in a dark green dress came down the steps with a folder in her hand. She looked smart and calm, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Mr. Vale," she said, bowing her head. "Welcome back." Nabila stared at Haroun. "Mr. Vale. Not Haroun the poor trader. Mr. Vale." The woman turned kindly to Nabila. "Madam Nabila, welcome. My name is Farida Stone. I manage the estate office." Nabila could barely speak. "Estate office?" Farida looked at Haroun, unsure if she had said too much. Haroun nodded. "It is all right." Farida stepped aside. Haroun led Nabila into the main building. Inside, the floor was smooth and bright. Large maps covered one wall. Lines crossed the maps from city to city, desert to port, farm to market. Small lights blinked on the maps. On another wall, there were pictures of trucks, warehouses, land projects, and long roads. Nabila walked slowly, as if the floor might disappear under her feet. Haroun stopped beside the biggest map. "This is Vale Desert Lines," he said. "Transport, land, food routes, water storage, building supplies. My father started with 3 trucks. I grew it from there." Nabila looked at the map, then at him. "You own this." "I own most of it." "Most? There are partners. But I lead it." Her voice became small. "You lead all of this?" "Yes." Nabila stepped back from him. "Then yesterday at the wedding gate, I came on the camel." "You came on the camel while you owned all this?" "Yes." Her face filled with hurt. "Why?" Haroun took one step closer. "Because I was tired of being loved for gates, cars, and names." Nabila shook her head. "That does not make it right." "I know." "No, I do not think you know." Her voice rose, and Farida quietly moved back toward the door. "My father called you shame." My mother cried. My sister laughed. Guests pointed phones at my face. "And you had all this behind you?" Haroun's jaw tightened. "Yes. You could have stopped it." "I could have." "Then why did you let me bleed in front of everyone?" He looked down. "Because I needed to see if you would still choose me." Nabila laughed once, but it was full of pain. "You tested me." "Yes. You tested me with shame." Haroun looked up. His eyes were heavy now. "My first bride years ago did not love me. She loved the name. When trouble came, she sold family papers to people who wanted my roads. My uncle betrayed me because of land. Men have smiled at me and planned my fall before dinner ended. I learned to hide what people wanted most." Nabila's anger did not leave, but it paused. Haroun continued. "When I met you, you did not ask what I had. You asked if I had eaten. You gave water to my driver before you knew he worked for me. You spoke to Kareem like he was your elder, not a servant. I wanted to believe you were real." Nabila whispered, "So you made me prove it." He closed his eyes briefly. Yes, that is not love, Haroun. That is fear. His face broke a little at those words. You are right, he said. The honest answer made her look at him again. He stepped back, giving her space. I will not defend what hurt you. I thought I was protecting myself. Maybe I was also being unfair to you. Nabila looked around the large room. Everything here was rich, strong, and hidden. The man she had married was standing inside his true life now. And still, he looked more afraid than he had beside the camel. What about Denzel? She asked. Haroun's face became serious again. Denzel has tried to enter my supply routes twice through fake companies. He failed. Now he is using your father's name to reach lenders and land buyers. Nabila covered her mouth. So this is bigger than my family. Yes, but your family is now inside it. Can you stop him? Haroun looked at the maps. Yes. She waited. He turned back to her. But if I move too fast, he will burn papers, hide money, and hurt people close to him. We need proof. We need your sister safe first. Nabila's eyes filled again. And my father? He is proud, but not lost. We can protect him too. She wiped her cheek quickly. Do not promise what you cannot do. I do not. That answer was simple, but she believed it more than a sweet speech. Haroun walked to a small table and opened a drawer. He took out a plain brown scarf, old and dusty at the edges. This was the scarf I wore the day I met you, he said. I kept it because that was the day someone looked at me like a person, not a prize. Nabila stared at the scarf, then at him. I am angry with you, she said. I know. I am hurt. I know. I do not know if I can forgive the test yet. I will not rush you. She looked toward the map again, then out the window at the hidden estate lights. But my sister needs help. Yes. Nabila lifted her chin. Then help her. Not because she deserves it. Not because my family was good to you. Help her because I am asking. Haroun bowed his head. Not like a rich man. Not like a lord. But like a husband who understood the weight of his wife's words. I will, he said. Outside, more lights came on across the desert estate, and trucks began moving in the distance like a sleeping giant waking up. Nabila stood beside Haroun in the heart of his secret world. Still angry, still hurt, but finally seeing the truth. The man on the camel had never been poor. He had only been hiding a kingdom in the sand. The lights of Haroun's desert estate stayed bright deep into the night. Nabila stood beside the large map-room window and watched men move across the yard like they had been waiting for one order. Trucks started. Phones rang. Farida Stone stood at a long table with papers spread before her, while Malik spoke to two men in low voices near the door. Haroun had changed from his dusty robe into a simple black suit, but he still did not look like a man trying to show off. He looked like a man going to war without raising his voice. Nabila turned from the window. Where are we going? Haroun looked at her. To the business dinner at Meridian House. She frowned. A dinner? Yes. My sister is in trouble. My father is trapped. And you want to eat dinner? No, Haroun said. I want Denzel to stand in a room full of people and tell the same lies he has been telling in private. Farida stepped closer and placed one paper on the table. Denzel Hart is expected there tonight. He is going to announce a new land deal. He plans to use your father's name as one of his family backers. Nabila's hand went to her mouth. Papa does not know? He knows some of it, Farida said gently, but not all. Haroun looked at Nabila. If we stop Denzel in his office, people may call it a private fight. If we stop him in front of lenders, landowners, and business leaders, he cannot hide behind noise. Nabila's chest rose and fell quickly. And Ruqayya? Malik spoke from the door. She is already at Meridian House with him. Nabila turned sharply. Is she safe? For now, Malik said. But she is scared. That was enough. Nabila moved toward the door. Then I am coming. Haroun stepped in front of her, not blocking her like a prison, but stopping her before she walked too fast into pain. You do not have to face them tonight, he said. Nabila looked up at him. I faced them yesterday when I had nothing but your hand and a camel. I can face them tonight with the truth. Haroun held her eyes for a moment, then nodded. Farida brought out a clean cream scarf and a soft gold shawl. Madam, you may want this. Nabila looked at the fine cloth and shook her head. No. Farida paused. No. Nabila touched the simple blue dress Zainab had given her. Let them see me like this. Haroun's eyes softened. Are you sure? Yes, she said. Yesterday they laughed because they thought I had nothing. Tonight they should see that I did not change just because I entered your gate. Haroun gave a small nod. Then we go as we are. Meridian House was full of bright lights, glass walls, and rich people speaking with calm voices. Fine cars filled the front drive. Men in dark suits held drinks. Women in shining gowns laughed softly like nothing bad could ever touch them. At the front of the hall, Denzel Hart stood on a small stage beside a screen showing pictures of wide land, new roads, and tall buildings. Ruqayya stood beside him in a green dress, but she did not shine the way she had beside the Rolls Royce. Her smile was fixed in place, and her eyes kept moving toward the exit. Bashir stood near the first row, angry and confused, while Halima sat beside him with tight hands. They had been called there by Denzel, who told them the family name would be honored. But now Bashir's face showed that he felt something was wrong. Denzel lifted his glass and smiled at the room. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, tonight is not just about land. It is about trust. It is about families coming together. It is about the future. People clapped lightly. Denzel turned toward Bashir. My dear father-in-law, Mr. Bashir Sani, has shown great faith in me. Bashir's face hardened. I did not agree to this speech, he muttered. Halima whispered, please stay calm. Denzel continued, with the Sani name behind this deal, and with the support of our partners, Hart Global will build the largest private route project this region has seen. The screen changed to show a map. Nabila entered the hall at that moment with Haroun beside her. At first, only a few people noticed them. Then whispers began. That is the bride from the Camel wedding. Is that the groom? Why is he here? Ruqayya saw Nabila first. Her eyes widened, and the smile fell from her face. Denzel followed her gaze. When he saw Haroun, his hand tightened around his glass. Bashir turned too. For 1 second, anger rose in his face. Then he saw the way men at the door stepped aside for Haroun, and his anger became confusion. Haroun walked slowly, not rushing, not hiding. Nabila walked beside him, her head high though her hands were cold. Denzel forced a laugh. Well, this is unexpected. The camel groom has joined us. A few people laughed, but not many. Haroun stopped near the front of the room. Good evening, Denzel. Denzel smiled with his teeth. I do not remember inviting you. Haroun looked around the room. You invited my land. The hall went quiet. Denzel blinked. Excuse me? Haroun pointed to the screen. That route on your map. The northern line. The storage land near Karu Ridge. The dry port access road. You are selling a future built on land you do not own. Denzel's smile disappeared. You do not know what you are talking about. Haroun looked at Farida, who had entered behind him with a folder. Farida walked to the nearest screen control and placed a document on the display. The map changed. New names appeared. Vale Desert Lines. Vale Holdings. Haroun Vale, chief owner. A heavy silence fell over the hall. Someone whispered, Vale. Another person said, that is him. Bashir stared at the screen, then at Haroun. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Nabila looked at her father and saw the exact moment he began to understand. The poor groom he had mocked owned the road Denzel was trying to sell. Denzel stepped down from the stage. This is a private matter. Haroun's voice stayed calm. No, you made it public when you used another man's name. He looked at Bashir. Mr. Sani, did you sign these loan papers? Farida placed another file on the screen. Bashir's copied stamp appeared large for everyone to see. Bashir stood slowly. His voice came out rough. No, I did not sign that. Denzel turned quickly. Father, please, we discussed this. Bashir's eyes burned. Do not call me father. A wave of whispers moved through the room. Denzel looked toward the lenders in the front row. This is a misunderstanding. One older lender stood. Mr. Hart, you told us Mr. Sani was fully backing the project. He was, Denzel said quickly. He is only upset because of a family matter. Bashir stepped forward. You copied my stamp. Denzel smiled tightly. Careful, sir. No, Bashir said louder now. You used my name. You used my daughter. You used my family. Rukaya's eyes filled with tears. Denzel, tell them it is not true. Denzel turned on her. Be quiet. The whole room heard it. Rukaya flinched. Halima stood at once. Do not speak to my daughter like that. Denzel looked at her with anger. Your daughter is my wife. Nabila moved before she could think. She walked straight to Rukaya and took her hand. Denzel pointed at her. You stay away from her. Harun's voice cut through the hall. Do not raise your hand toward my wife. Denzel froze. For the first time, he looked unsure. Harun walked closer, his face calm but his eyes sharp. You borrowed against a false family backing. You promised land access you never owned. You told private lenders you had route rights from my company. You trapped your wife by taking her phone. And you thought a Rolls Royce would make everyone blind. Denzel's jaw worked, but no words came. Farida placed one more paper on the screen. The Rolls Royce was leased this week under a company account already marked for debt recovery.
If you're enjoying these stories on your television today and want to listen ad-free, if you have a special gift for you, you can now get our premium audiobook and ebook bundle instantly. Simply take out your phone and scan the QR code you see at the top right of your screen, or check the pinned comment below to download your copy tonight.
Gasps filled the hall. Rukaya slowly turned to Denzel. Leased. Denzel looked away. You said it was mine, she whispered. He snapped. It would have been yours if these people had not ruined everything. Rukaya pulled her hand from Nabila and walked toward him. I laughed at my sister because of that car. Denzel said nothing. I stood beside it like I was better than her, Rukaya said, her voice breaking. And it was not even yours? Stop acting like a child, Denzel said. Rukaya slapped him. The sound cracked across the room. Everyone froze. Rukaya began to cry, but she did not step back. You made me small in a big car. Denzel raised his hand in anger, but Malik and two security men moved at once. They did not touch him yet. They only stood close enough to make him lower his hand. Harun looked at the lenders. All documents connected to Vale Land are false unless they carry my office seal and Farida Stone's signature. You may check them now. One lender turned to Denzel. Mr. Hart, we will need you to come with our legal team. Denzel looked around the room like a trapped animal. You all believe him because he has a bigger name? Harun shook his head. No, they believe the papers. Denzel pointed at him. You planned this. You built it, Harun said. I only opened the door. Bashir stood in the middle of the room, his shoulders low now. The proud father from the wedding gate was gone. He looked old, tired, and ashamed. He turned slowly to Nabila. His eyes moved over her simple blue dress, then to Harun, then to the screen carrying the Vale name. Nabila, he said, but his voice broke. She waited. Bashir swallowed hard. Yesterday, I called him shame. Nabila's eyes filled, but she did not speak. Bashir looked at Harun. And today, he saved my name from a thief. Harun answered quietly, Your daughter asked me to help. Bashir looked back at Nabila, and the shame on his face grew deeper. I did not listen to you. No, Nabila said softly. You did not. Halima came to Nabila and held her arm with shaking fingers. My daughter. Rukaya stood beside them, crying silently now. No Rolls Royce, no proud smile, no sharp words left in her mouth. Denzel was led toward a side room by the legal team and security. He looked back once at Harun with hate in his eyes, but he had no power left in the room. The business leaders began speaking in low voices. Some looked at Haroun with respect. Some looked at Bashir with pity. Some looked at Nabila like they were seeing her for the first time. Haroun did not smile. Nabila understood why. This was not a win that felt sweet. It was truth, and truth had entered the room like a storm. It had torn the shine off the Rolls Royce. It had pulled fear out of Ruqaya's marriage. It had bent Bashir's pride in front of everyone. And as Nabila stood beside her sister, holding her hand in the same room where her family had fallen before the truth, she knew one thing clearly. The laughter from the wedding gate had finally started coming back to the people who threw it. The room stayed quiet after Denzel was taken away. No one clapped. No one laughed. No one rushed to speak. The rich people inside Meridian House only stood there with their drinks in their hands, acting like they had not been ready to trust Denzel a few minutes ago. Nabila kept holding Ruqaya's hand, but her sister's fingers were cold. Ruqaya stared at the side door where Denzel had disappeared. Her green dress still looked expensive, but her face looked lost. The proud woman who had smiled from the Rolls Royce was gone. In her place stood a scared sister with wet eyes and shaking lips. Halima touched Ruqaya's shoulder. "My child, come with me." Ruqaya pulled away at once. "No." Halima looked hurt. "Ruqaya, I said no," Ruqaya said, but her voice cracked. "I don't want people touching me like I am broken." Nabila spoke softly. "No one is saying you are broken." Ruqaya turned on her. "Do not use that soft voice on me." Nabila let go of her hand slowly. Bashir stood a few steps away, looking like he wanted to speak but did not know how. He had spent years giving orders, but now there was no order that could fix his shame. "Ruqaya," he said, "we will go home." Ruqaya laughed once, but it had no joy. Home? To what? To hear the servants whisper? To watch people send videos of me standing beside a leased car? To sit at your table while you all look at me like I am the fool who married a snake? Bashir's face tightened. "You are not a fool." Ruqaya's eyes burned. "Yesterday, I called her one." She pointed at Nabila. Nabila did not move. Ruqaya wiped her face hard. "I laughed at her in front of everyone. I told her to enjoy her camel marriage. I told her she would suffer. And now look at me." Halima tried to hug her again, but Ruqaya stepped back. "Please," Ruqaya whispered, "just leave me alone." Haroun moved closer to Nabila and spoke in a low voice. "We can take her somewhere safe." Nabila looked at Ruqaya. "Will she come with us?" Ruqaya heard that and snapped her head up. "With you." Nabila stayed calm. "You need rest. I need rest. So I should follow you to your desert kingdom?" Ruqaya said. "Is that what this is now? The poor bride becomes queen and the proud sister comes begging at the gate." Nabila's face tightened, but she kept her voice gentle. "I did not say that. You do not have to say it." Ruqaya's tears fell again. "Everyone is looking at you now like you were right all along." Nabila stepped closer. "Ruqaya, this is not about who was right. It is always about that," Ruqaya said. "You think I don't know? You stood there in that simple dress, holding your husband's hand, while all those people looked at me like I was dirt." Nabila's voice became firmer. "Yesterday, you watched people look at me that way and you smiled." The words hit Ruqaya. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Haroun looked at Bashir and Halima. "Let her breathe. Tonight has been heavy." Bashir looked at Haroun with shame still in his eyes. "Can she be protected?" Haroun nodded. "Yes." Bashir looked at Nabila, and the words seemed hard for him. "If she will not come home with us, please make sure she is safe." Nabila looked at him. "You are asking me?" Bashir lowered his eyes. "Yes." That one word carried more weight than a long speech. But Ruqaya shook her head. "I am not going with her. I am not going anywhere with her." So that night, Ruqaya left Meridian House with their mother in another car. Bashir followed quietly. Haroun took Nabila back to the desert estate, and neither of them spoke much on the road. When they reached the tall stone gates, Nabila looked out at the lights and the guards and the wide paths. Only one day ago, she had entered the small desert house in a borrowed dress, thinking she had married a poor man. Now she was inside a hidden world. Haroun watched her. "Are you angry again?" She gave a tired smile. "I don't think I stopped being angry." He nodded. "Fair." She turned to him. "But tonight you helped my family. You asked me to. And if I had not asked?" He paused. "I would still have stopped Denzel. Because of your business?" "Because of that too," he said. "But also because your sister was in danger." Nabila looked down at her hands. "She hates me. She is ashamed." She was ashamed yesterday too. But she still laughed. Haroun did not argue. "Yes." Nabila leaned back against the seat. "I do not know how to hold pain and pity at the same time." Haroun looked at her gently. "Maybe you do not have to hold both tonight." The next morning, Nabila woke to a soft knock on the door. Farida stood outside with a serious face. "Madam, there is someone at the gate." Nabila sat up. "Who?" Farida hesitated. "Your sister." Nabila's heart gave a hard jump. She dressed quickly and went outside. Haroun was already near the front steps, speaking to Malik. When he saw Nabila, he came to her side. "You do not have to see her," he said. Nabila looked toward the far gate. "I know." At the gate, Ruqayya stood alone. No Rolls Royce, no Denzel, no shining entrance. Her hair was tied back carelessly, and she wore a plain yellow dress under a loose scarf. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She held a small bag in one hand, and with the other hand, she gripped the gate bars like they were the only things keeping her standing. When Nabila reached the gate with Haroun beside her, Ruqayya tried to speak, but her voice failed. Nabila stood on the inside. Ruqayya stood on the outside. For a long moment, neither sister moved. Then Ruqayya said, "Are you going to leave me out here?" Nabila's heart twisted. "I don't know yet." Ruqayya blinked, shocked. "You don't know?" Nabila's voice stayed quiet. "I am being honest." Ruqayya let out a broken laugh. "So this is my punishment?" "No," Nabila said. "This is me thinking before I open my door to someone who enjoyed seeing me hurt." Ruqayya looked away, and tears filled her eyes again. "I came because Mama said I should not stay at the house. People are already calling. Reporters are outside. Denzel's people came looking for papers. Papa is shouting at everyone. I could not breathe there." Haroun spoke to Malik. "Make sure no one followed her." Malik nodded and walked away. Ruqayya looked at Haroun, then at the estate behind him. Her eyes moved over the tall buildings, the guards, the clean cars, and the wide stone road. Even in her pain, something sharp entered her face. "So it was true," she said. "You really married all this." Nabila's face became still. "Ruqayya." Ruqayya wiped her cheeks. "What? I am only saying what everyone will say. I did not know about this when I married him." "I know," Ruqayya said quickly, but the bitterness stayed in her voice. "That is what makes it worse." Nabila frowned. "Worse?" "Yes," Ruqayya said, her voice shaking. "You did not chase it and you still got it. I chased the shiny thing, and it turned into a rope around my neck. Do you know how that feels?" Nabila looked at her sister through the gate. "It feels like pain. It feels like God slapped me in front of everyone," Ruqayya cried. Nabila stepped closer. "Do not turn this into envy." Ruqayya gripped the bars tighter. "I am trying not to. Try harder." The words were firm, and Ruqayya stared at her. Nabila continued, "You came here for safety, not to measure my life against yours again." Ruqayya's lips trembled. "I don't know how to stop." That answer was so honest that Nabila's anger softened, but it did not disappear. Ruqayya lowered her head. "I am sorry." Nabila waited. Ruqayya looked up, crying harder now. "I am sorry I laughed. I am sorry I called your marriage punishment. I am sorry I made you feel small. I am sorry I stood beside that car like it made me better. I am sorry I let Denzel speak to you like dirt. I am sorry for years." "Nabila, not just yesterday." Nabila's throat tightened. For many years she had wanted those words. But now that they came, they did not fix everything. They only showed how deep the wound had been. Haroun stayed quiet beside her. Ruqayya whispered, "Please open the gate." Nabila closed her eyes for a moment. She saw the wedding hall again. She heard Ruqayya's laughter. She heard her mother begging her to hide. She heard her father saying he would not bless foolishness. Then she saw Ruqayya at Meridian House, flinching when Denzel told her to be quiet. Pain and pity stood inside Nabila like two people fighting. She opened her eyes. "I will help you," she said. Ruqayya let out a sob of relief. "But listen to me well," Nabila continued. "I am not the sister you can step on anymore. If you come inside, you will not insult my husband. You will not mock my choices. You will not turn my kindness into something you use against me." Ruqayya nodded quickly. "I won't. And if jealousy rises in your mouth, close your mouth until it passes." Ruqayya gave a small broken laugh through her tears. "That may happen many times. Then you may be quiet many times." For the first time, Ruqayya almost smiled. Nabila looked at Haroun. He nodded to the guard. The gate opened slowly. Ruqayya stepped inside, but she did not rush forward. She stood there like a child entering a room after breaking something valuable. Nabila walked to her and held out her hand. Ruqayya looked at it, then took it. Not proudly, not strongly, just with the weak grip of someone who had lost her shine and did not know who she was without it. Nabila led her into the estate, but her heart stayed careful. She had opened the gate for her sister. She had not opened every door. Ruqayya stayed in the desert estate for 2 days before she stopped jumping at every sound. At first, she sat in the guest room with the door half open, like she was afraid someone would lock it from outside. Nabila noticed it but did not say anything. She only brought food, water, and clean clothes. Sometimes Ruqayya thanked her. Sometimes she stared at the floor and said nothing. Haroun gave Ruqayya a safe room, but he did not force her to talk. He sent guards to watch the roads. Farida handled the lawyers. Malik kept bringing reports about Denzel, the fake loan papers, and the lenders who now wanted their money back. One evening, Nabila found Ruqayya sitting by the window, looking out at the desert lights. "Are you hungry?" Nabila asked. Ruqayya shook her head. "No, you did not eat much today. I am not used to food tasting normal." Nabila came closer. "What does that mean?" Ruqayya looked at her with tired eyes. In Denzel's house, even food felt like a test. If I ate too much, he said I was greedy. If I ate too little, he said I was trying to look sad. If I spoke, he told me to be quiet. If I was quiet, he asked if I was planning against him. Nabila's face softened. "Ruqayya, do not pity me too loudly," Ruqayya said quickly. "I may break." Nabila sat beside her. "I will sit quietly then." For a short while, both sisters watched the lights outside. Then Ruqayya said, "Papa called." Nabila turned to her. "What did he say?" "He wants to see you." Nabila's hands became still. "He can come here." Ruqayya shook her head. "No, he wants everyone to see it." Nabila frowned. "See what?" Ruqayya swallowed. "His apology." The next morning, Haroun called Nabila into the map room. Farida was there with a paper in her hand. Malik stood near the door. Haroun stood by the large map, dressed again in a simple brown robe. Not dusty like before, but plain. Nabila looked at him. "Why are you dressed like that?" Haroun held her gaze. "Your father asked to meet us at the old wedding hall." Nabila's chest tightened. "The same hall?" "Yes." "Why there?" Farida answered gently. "Because the videos from that day spread everywhere. People are still talking. Your father wants to face the same place where he rejected you." Nabila looked at Haroun again. "And you are going like this?" Haroun nodded. "On Sable." Nabila stared at him. "On the camel?" "Yes." "Haroun, people already know who you are now. You do not have to prove anything." "I am not going to prove wealth," he said. "I am going to prove that the man they laughed at was never less than them." Nabila's throat tightened. Haroun stepped closer. "But I will not go unless you want to go." Nabila looked down. The memory of the Golden Gate came back so clearly that she could almost hear the laughter again. She saw her mother crying, her father pointing, Ruqayya smiling from the Rolls Royce, Denzel laughing like a king. That place still hurt inside her. "I am scared," she said. Haroun nodded. "I know. I do not want to stand there and feel small again." "You will not stand alone." She looked at him. "I did not stand alone the first time." His face softened, and he held out his hand. This time, when she took it, she knew the hand belonged to a man with power. But that was not why she held it. She held it because, even with all his mistakes, he had stood with her when stones were flying. By late afternoon, the road to the wedding hall was full. People had heard that Haroun Vale was coming back to the same gate where he had been laughed at. Some came because they were sorry. Some came because they wanted to see power. Some came because people love the place where shame changes sides. Sable walked slowly down the road with Haroun seated on him, wearing his simple brown robe. Nabila sat in front of him in a cream dress. Not the wedding dress, but close enough to remind everyone of that day. Behind them, black cars followed at a distance, not to show off, but to protect. This time, no one laughed. At the gate, the crowd moved back without being told. The same red carpet was there, but it looked different now. The gold gate looked smaller. The hall looked less strong. Even the people who had lifted phones before now held them lower, careful, as if they did not know whether they were allowed to record. When Sable stopped near the entrance, Haroun climbed down first. Then he helped Nabila down with care. A group of business leaders stood near the steps. Men who had ignored him at the wedding now bowed their heads. "Mr. Vale," one of them said. "Sir," another said quickly. A woman in a black suit stepped forward. "It is an honor to see you here." Nabila watched the same guests who had mocked his dusty sandals now making space for him like he was a king. Haroun did not smile at them. He only nodded. Then Bashir came out of the hall. He was not wearing his proud wedding clothes. He wore a simple white shirt and dark trousers. His face looked tired. Halima stood beside him, holding a small handkerchief. Ruqayya stood behind them, plain and quiet, her eyes on the ground. Bashir walked down the steps slowly. Each step looked heavy. When he reached Nabila and Haroun, he stopped. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Bashir bent his head. The crowd gasped. Nabila's eyes filled. "Papa," she whispered. Bashir did not lift his head. "No, my daughter. Let me speak first before pride finds my tongue again." Haroun stood still beside her. Bashir looked at him. "Haroun Vale, I wronged you." Haroun said nothing. Bashir continued, his voice shaking. "I called you shame because I judged your clothes. I laughed in my heart because you came on a camel. I chose noise over truth. I chose a leased Rolls Royce over a good man. And because of that, I nearly handed my family to a thief." The crowd was silent. Bashir turned to Nabila. "And you, my daughter, I wronged you more." Nabila's lips trembled. "Papa, I did," he said. "I made you feel small in your own family. I praised your sister and forgot your heart. I thought quiet meant weak. I thought kindness meant foolish. But when trouble came, your kindness brought help to the same people who mocked you." Halima began to cry softly beside him. Bashir's voice broke. "Nabila, I refuse to bless your marriage. Today, in front of the same eyes that watched me reject you, I am asking you to forgive me." Nabila covered her mouth. Ruqayya stepped forward then. Her face was wet with tears. "And me," she said. "Let them hear me too." Nabila turned to her sister. Ruqayya faced the crowd, but her voice shook badly. "I laughed at my sister because I thought I had one. I thought the Rolls Royce made me better. I thought her camel made her less. But I was wrong. The car was a trap, and the camel carried truth. I am sorry, Nabila. I am sorry."
If you're enjoying these stories on your television today and want to listen ad-free, if you have a special gift for you, you can now get our premium audiobook and ebook bundle instantly. Simply take out your phone and scan the QR code you see at the top right of your screen, or check the pinned comment below to download your copy tonight.
Haroun looked at her, his face calm but not hard. "I hear you." Ruqayya nodded, crying harder. "That is more than I deserve." Halima moved closer to Nabila and took her hands. My child, I was afraid of shame, but I became part of your pain. I begged you to hide. A mother should not ask her daughter to hide from her own life. Nabila could not hold back the tears anymore. I was waiting for you to call my name that day, she said softly. Just once. I kept hoping you would say, Nabila, come here, I am with you. But you did not. Halima cried harder. I know, my daughter. I failed you. Bashir looked at Haroun. Sir, if you allow it, I would like Elder Musa to bless this marriage again here. Haroun looked at Nabila first. What do you want? Everyone waited for her answer. Nabila looked around the gate. She saw people who had laughed. She saw people who had stayed silent. She saw workers from the hall standing near the door, watching with careful eyes. She saw the place where she had almost broken, and then she looked at Sable, standing calmly as if none of this surprised him. At last, she said, I do not need another blessing to know I am married. Bashir's face fell a little. But, Nabila continued, I need my family to bless what they once cursed. Bashir nodded quickly. Yes, my daughter. Elder Musa came forward from the crowd. He was wearing the same brown cap and holding the same small book. His eyes were gentle as he looked at Nabila. I told them the sky had not rejected you, he said. Nabila smiled through her tears. You did. Elder Musa stood before them and lifted his hand. Then let this place remember the truth. A person does not become rich because people clap. A person does not become poor because people laugh. Today, the family that refused their blessing has brought it back with tears. May this home be healed slowly, honestly, and without pride. Bashir placed his hand over Haroun and Nabila's joined hands. I bless you, he said, not because you are rich, not because I was wrong and need to save my face. I bless you because my daughter chose you when I was too blind to see you. Haroun's voice was quiet. Thank you, sir. Bashir looked at him. No. Thank you for saving us when we did not deserve it. Haroun glanced at Nabila. Your daughter asked. Nabila looked at him, and for the first time since learning the truth about his hidden life, her heart softened fully. The crowd began to clap. This time it was not loud and wild like people praising money. Started slowly, then grew stronger. The workers clapped first, then the guests, then the business leaders. Even strangers outside the gate joined in. But Nabila did not look at the crowd. She looked at her father, her mother, her sister, and the man who had returned on the same camel, not to shame anyone, but to show them what they had failed to see. And as Sable stood beside the golden gate, calm and proud, the whole town finally understood. The man on the camel had never been the joke. Their laughter had been the joke all along. The clapping at the wedding hall gate did not end quickly. It followed Nabila like a soft wave as she stood beside Haroun, her hand still inside his. The same people who had once laughed at her now watched her with respect. But Nabila did not feel proud in the way Ruqayya used to feel proud. She felt tired, full, and quiet inside. Bashir kept his head low for a long time after blessing them. Halima stayed close to Nabila, holding her arm like she was afraid her daughter might disappear again. Ruqayya stood a little behind them, wiping her face with both hands, no longer trying to look perfect. Elder Musa closed his small book and smiled. Now the hard part begins. Bashir looked at him. Hard part? Yes, Elder Musa said. Saying sorry is one step. Living differently is the long road. Ruqayya looked down at the ground. I know that road is for me. Nabila turned to her sister. For all of us. Ruqayya nodded slowly. But mostly for me. Before anyone could answer, Malik came through the crowd and stopped beside Haroun. Sir, he said quietly. Haroun looked at him. Speak. Malik glanced at Nabila, then at Bashir. Denzel Hart has been taken by the financial crime officers. The lenders gave statements this morning. Farida has handed over the false land papers and the copied Sani stamp. Bashir closed his eyes. Halima held his hand. Ruqayya's lips shook. So it is really over? Malik answered with care. The case is only beginning, madam. But he cannot reach you now. Ruqayya let out a breath that sounded like it had been trapped in her chest for many days. She did not smile. She only whispered, "Good." Bashir looked at Haroun. "Will my family name survive this?" Haroun did not rush to comfort him. "It will be bruised, but truth will help it stand again." Bashir nodded. "I deserve the bruise." Nabila looked at her father. "Papa, do not turn pain into a speech. Just change." His eyes met hers, and for once he did not argue. "I will try." Haroun gently squeezed Nabila's hand. "There is one more thing." Nabila turned to him. "What thing?" He looked toward the hall, then back at her. "This place has too much pain on it. I do not want our marriage remembered only by laughter and apology. I want us to give it a new memory." Ruqayya frowned. "What do you mean?" Haroun faced Nabila fully. "I would like to hold a second celebration. Not to prove anything. Not to show wealth. Just to celebrate you properly, with peace." Nabila looked at the hall, at the red carpet, at the gold gate, and at the crowd still watching. Her first thought was no. She did not want another show. She did not want more people staring at her face. Haroun saw the fear in her eyes and spoke softly. "Not inside this hall if you do not want. Not with rich people shouting your name. We can choose another place." Nabila swallowed. "Where?" Haroun gave a small smile. "The open garden behind Elder Musa's prayer house. You told me once you liked that place because poor children played there after school." Nabila stared at him. "You remember that?" "I remember many things you said when you thought they were small." Her heart softened. Ruqayya looked between them, then spoke quietly. "Can I help?" Nabila looked at her with surprise. Ruqayya twisted her fingers together. "Not as the sister who gives orders. Just as someone who carries chairs or flowers or whatever is needed." Halima covered her mouth, already crying again. Nabila studied Ruqayya's face. There was no sharp smile there. No proud shine. Only fear that her offer might be rejected. "You can help," Nabila said. Ruqayya nodded fast, tears coming again. "Thank you." 3 days later, the second celebration took place in the open garden behind Elder Musa's prayer house. There was no red carpet. There were no golden chairs. There was no Rolls Royce at the gate. The chairs were wooden and simple. The food was cooked by women from the neighborhood. Children ran around the trees until Elder Musa told them to stop chasing the chickens near the food table. Nabila wore a soft cream dress with small flowers sewn around the sleeves. Haroun wore a clean white robe, plain but beautiful. Sable the camel stood near a tree with a bright cloth around his neck, chewing leaves like he was the guest of honor. Ruqayya arrived early with Halima. She did not come with heavy makeup or a loud dress. She wore a simple green gown and carried a basket of small flowers in both hands. Nabila saw her placing flowers on the chairs one by one. "You do not have to do all that," Nabila said. Ruqayya looked up. "I know. Then why are you doing it?" Ruqayya looked at the flowers in her hand. "Because for many years I liked being served. Today I want my hands to learn something else." Nabila stood quietly for a moment. Ruqayya gave a weak smile. "That sounded too serious, didn't it?" "A little. I am trying." "I know." Ruqayya looked toward Sable and laughed softly. "Do you think he remembers me insulting him?" Nabila turned to the camel. "He looks like he forgave you before you asked." Ruqayya wiped a tear quickly. "I wish people were camels then." Nabila smiled, and for the first time in many days, the sisters laughed together without pain sitting between them like a wall. When the celebration began, Elder Musa stood before everyone and spoke in his calm voice. "Some people came today because they heard the man on the camel was rich," he said. "Some came because they heard the proud family cried. Some came because they want to know how the story ends." The people laughed softly. Elder Musa smiled. "But the story does not end with money. It does not end with shame. It ends with a choice. This woman chose a man when she thought he had nothing. This man found a woman who saw him before she saw his name. That kind of choice is rare. Do not clap for the wealth. Clap for the heart that did not bow to laughter." This time, when people clapped, Nabila did not feel watched. She felt held. Bashir stood next. His hands shook as he faced the small crowd. "I have been a proud man," he said. "My pride almost cost me my daughter. It almost cost me my family. I thought honor was in cars, halls, and what people said about us. But my quiet daughter taught me that honor can stand beside a camel and still be taller than all of us." Nabila's eyes filled with tears. Bashir turned to Haroun. "My son, I cannot undo the first day." Haroun nodded. "No one can, but I can live better after it." "That is enough," Haroun said. Then Ruqayya stood, though no one had asked her to speak. Her hands shook so badly that Halima tried to pull her back down. But Ruqayya shook her head. "No, Mama, I need to say it." She faced the people. "I used to think being chosen by a rich man made me special. Then I learned a man can give you a car and still take away your voice. I laughed at my sister because I was empty inside and wanted everyone to think I was full." The garden became quiet. Ruqayya turned to Nabila. "You did not fight me when you could have. You opened the gate when I needed safety. I do not know how to become a better sister in one day, but I want to learn." Nabila stood and walked to her. For a second, Ruqayya looked scared. Then Nabila hugged her. Ruqayya broke into tears at once. "I am sorry. I know," Nabila whispered. "Now keep changing. I will try. Try every day. I will." Far away from the garden, Denzel sat in a cold interview room with officers asking him about fake papers, loan fraud, and false land deals. The Rolls Royce had already been taken back by the leasing company. His fine office was sealed. His name, once spoken with praise, was now spoken with warning. But Nabila did not think about him for long. She had given too much of her peace to cruel people already. As evening came, lanterns were lit around the garden. Haroun led Nabila to the small open space beneath the trees, and soft music began. It was not loud music for showing off. It was gentle music that made old women smile and children sway. Haroun held out his hand. "May I dance with my wife?" Nabila placed her hand in his. "Only if you promise not to test me with another camel." Haroun laughed, a real laugh this time. "No more tests." "Good. But Sable may still attend family events." Nabila looked at the camel, then back at him. "That is fair. He has suffered with us." They began to dance slowly. Around them, her family watched with tears and smiles. The workers clapped. The children cheered. Elder Musa nodded with joy. Ruqayya stood beside Halima and wiped her face. But this time her tears were not only sad. Haroun leaned close. "Are you happy?" Nabila thought about the wedding gate, the laughter, the pain, the hidden truth, the apology, and this simple garden full of warm light. "I am healing," she said. Haroun nodded. "That is better than pretending." She looked into his eyes. "And you?" "I am learning," he said. "Love is not something you test like a locked door. It is something you enter with truth." Nabila smiled softly. "Then keep entering with truth." "I will." As the night settled over the garden, Nabila rested her head lightly against Haroun's chest. She had not won because she married the richest man. She had not won because the people who laughed were ashamed. She had not won because the Rolls Royce became a lie and the camel became a symbol. She had won because, at the hardest moment when everyone told her to choose shine, she chose the heart she believed in. And this time, when the crowd clapped, nobody was laughing at her. They were honoring her. Amara Bello had always been the kind of woman who stayed calm when everyone else lost control. She was 27 and never ashamed of the people she loved. But on the morning of her wedding, even Amara felt her courage shake. A sound came from the road. Put, 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 put. Every head turned. An old blue scooter rolled toward the hotel gate. One mirror was missing. The front light was cracked, and smoke followed behind it. The rider wore a brown jacket, dark trousers, and a black helmet. The crowd went silent. Then someone laughed. "Please tell me that is not the groom," Amara's cousin Laura said. More laughter followed. Amara stood outside in her wedding dress. Her mother, Mrs. Bello, gripped her arm. "Amara," she whispered, "do not tell me Daniel came here on that thing." Amara knew the way he sat. She knew the brown jacket. She had sewn one of its loose buttons herself. "It is him," she said. Her mother's face changed. "This cannot be happening." The scooter coughed and stopped beside a line of luxury cars. Daniel placed one foot on the ground and tried to start it again, but the engine gave one weak sound and died. A man near the gate raised his phone and began recording. "This wedding is already better than a comedy show," he said. Amara heard every word. Her cheeks became hot, but she did not move. Her father, Chief Bello, pushed through the guests. He wore a gold outfit and carried himself like a man who believed every eye should be on him. "What is this?" he shouted. Daniel removed his helmet. His hair was untidy from the ride, but his face was calm. "Good morning, sir," he said. "Do not good morning me," Chief Bello replied. "Where is the car I told you to rent?" Daniel looked at the cars around him. "I did not rent one." "I can see that." The guests laughed again. Daniel got off the scooter and placed the helmet on the seat. "The scooter brought me here safely." "Safely?" Laura called. "It nearly died before you did." The laughter became louder. Amara turned toward Laura. "That is enough." Laura lifted both hands. "I am only saying what everyone is thinking." "No," Amara said. "You are saying it because you enjoy hurting people." The smile left Laura's face. Chief Bello walked closer to Daniel. "You promised me you would not disgrace my family today." "I made no such promise," Daniel said. Chief Bello's eyes widened. "What did you say?" "I promised Amara that I would come and marry her. I am here." "You came looking like a delivery rider." Daniel glanced at his clothes. "My suit is inside." "That is not the point," Chief Bello snapped. "People are watching." Daniel looked around at the phones, smiling faces, and guests whispering. "Yes, sir. I noticed." Mrs. Bello pulled Amara aside. "Go inside before this gets worse." "He is my groom," Amara said. "And your groom arrived on a broken scooter." "So?" Her mother blinked. "These people are important. Your father spent more money on this wedding than most people earn in 10 years. I did not ask him to." "This is not the time to be stubborn." Amara looked at Daniel. He stood alone beside the scooter while guards watched him as if he did not belong. He had never claimed to be rich. He said he lived simply, worked hard, and did not care about showing off. She loved him because he listened and stayed when life became hard. Yet one question pushed into her mind. Why had he not warned her? Before she could speak, a polished red car stopped at the gate. Victor Hale stepped out wearing a white designer suit. He was the man her father had once wanted her to marry. Victor looked at the scooter and laughed. "So the stories were true," he said. "You chose this man over me." Amara tightened her grip on her flowers. "Victor, leave." He ignored her and walked toward Daniel. "Do you need money for fuel, friend?" Daniel met his eyes. "No." "Maybe money for a new scooter?" "No." Victor smiled at the crowd. "He is proud. A poor man needs something to keep." Chief Bello did not stop him. That hurt Amara more than the laughter. Daniel picked up a small black bag from the scooter. Victor blocked his path. "The hotel entrance is for wedding guests." "I am the groom." "Then prove it. Where is your car? Where are your friends? Where is your family?" Daniel looked toward Amara. For the first time, pain showed in his eyes. Amara stepped down one stair. Her mother grabbed her dress. "Do not go near him." Amara pulled free. Chief Bello pointed at Daniel. "Leave, find a proper car, and return like a man worthy of my daughter." Daniel remained still. "And if I refuse? Then there will be no wedding." The crowd became quiet. Amara reached the bottom step and stood between them. "There will be a wedding," she said. Chief Bello stared at her. "Go inside." "No. Amara, I am warning you. And I am telling you that nobody will chase Daniel away." Victor shook his head. "You are throwing your life away." Amara turned to Daniel. His jacket was dusty, his scooter was broken, and the crowd was waiting for her to feel ashamed. She held out her hand. Daniel looked at it but did not take it. "Are you sure?" he asked. Amara swallowed the fear in her throat. I am sure about you, but after today you will explain everything. Daniel's eyes softened. He took her hand. Someone laughed again. Daniel turned toward the hotel doors, holding Amara's hand. He did not look angry or defeated. He looked like a man who had learned exactly who stood with him when he appeared to have nothing. As they walked past the laughing guests, a black phone inside Daniel's bag began to ring. The black phone kept ringing inside Daniel's bag as he and Amara walked toward the hotel doors. Amara heard it. Daniel reached inside, ended the call, and hid the screen. The phone was newer and more expensive than the simple one he used every day. Before she could ask about it, Chief Bello shouted behind them. "Stop right there." Daniel and Amara turned. Chief Bello pushed through the guests with Mrs. Bello behind him. Victor followed them, wearing a smile that made Amara feel sick. Chief Bello pointed toward the road. "I gave you one clear order. Leave and return in a proper car." "And I gave you my answer," Amara said. "Daniel is not leaving. You are speaking to your father." "I know exactly who I am speaking to." Mrs. Bello stepped between them. "Please, both of you. Everyone is watching." Guests stood near the entrance with their phones raised, smiling as if her pain was part of the wedding show. "That is what you care about?" Amara asked. "People watching?" Her mother lowered her voice. "I care about your future. My future is standing beside me." Victor laughed softly. "That is a very sad future." Daniel took one slow step toward him. "You have said enough." Victor lifted his chin. "Or what? You will chase me on your scooter." Several guests laughed again. Daniel's hand tightened around Amara's. He did not shout or strike Victor. He only stared until Victor's smile weakened. Chief Bello moved in front of Daniel. "Do not threaten my guest." "He is not threatening him," Amara said. "Victor is the one insulting my husband." "He is not your husband yet," Chief Bello snapped. The words hurt. The vows had not been spoken, and her father was using that fact like a weapon. Mrs. Bello touched Amara's shoulder. "Come upstairs with me. We can talk in private." "No. Every insult happened in public. My answer will be public too." Chief Bello breathed hard. "Then hear me clearly. If you enter that hall with him, you are choosing him over your family." Amara stared at him. "Why are you making me choose?" "Because you have forgotten what this family has done for you. You raised me to know right from wrong. I raised you to use your head. I am using it." "No," he shouted. "You are throwing your life away for a man who came to his wedding without pride." Daniel finally spoke. "A car does not give a man pride." Chief Bello turned on him. "You should be ashamed to speak." "Why? Look at you." Daniel looked down at his dusty jacket and then back at him. "I know what I am wearing. You came here with nothing. I came here to marry Amara. That is not enough." "It is enough for me," Amara said. Mrs. Bello looked afraid. "Love does not pay bills. Love does not build a home." Amara faced her. "Daniel works. He has never asked me for money." "Then where is the proof?" Chief Bello asked. "Where is his house, his company, or anyone important who knows him?" Daniel's face remained calm. "Not every important thing must be shown." Victor clapped once. Beautiful words from a man with a dead scooter. Amara turned toward him. "Why are you still here?" "Because I care about you." "No, you care about winning." Victor's face changed. "I came because your father invited me." "You invited the man you wanted me to marry to watch this wedding?" Chief Bello did not answer. She looked from her father to Victor. "You planned this." Chief Bello shook his head. "Do not be foolish. You expected Daniel to fail. You wanted Victor here so you could shame me. I wanted you to see the difference between them." "I see it," she said. "Daniel is standing beside me while Victor is laughing at me." Victor stepped closer. "I am not laughing at you, Amara. I am trying to save you." "From what?" "From waking up with no money, no help, and no way out." Daniel's eyes moved to Victor. "You think money makes you better than everyone. It makes life easier. It also makes weak men loud." The guests gasped. Victor took one angry step forward, but Chief Bello held out his arm. "This ends now," Chief Bello said. He faced Amara. "Go inside alone, and I may still forgive this." Amara's chest hurt. "Forgive me for loving the man I chose? For embarrassing us? You embarrassed yourself." Mrs. Bello covered her mouth. Chief Bello's face hardened. "If you marry him, you will lose your job at Bello Holdings, your salary, your car, and the apartment I bought." The guests became quiet again. Amara felt Daniel turn toward her. "Amara," he said softly, "you do not have to answer now." "Yes, I do." Her father folded his arms. "Think before you speak." She looked at the hotel, the flowers, the cameras, and the people waiting to judge her. Then she looked at Daniel. He did not beg her to stay. He allowed her to choose. If you're enjoying this video so far, consider subscribing to my small channel. My wife promised to make me chocolate chip cookies if I hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of 2026. So it would mean the world to me. That's it, and thanks for listening this far. Now let's continue. Amara faced her father. "Keep the job," Mrs. Bello gasped. "Amara, keep the car too." Chief Bello stared at her. "You cannot mean that." "I do." "And the apartment?" "I will leave it." Victor shook his head. "You have no idea what you are giving up." Amara looked at him. "You have no idea what I refuse to become." Chief Bello's voice dropped. "Once you walk through those doors with him, do not come back asking for help." Daniel moved closer to Amara. "Sir, you do not need to punish her because you dislike me. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me." Chief Bello pointed at his chest. "Then take her, feed her, protect her, give her the life she thinks you can give." Daniel did not look away. "I will." Victor laughed again, but this time nobody joined him. Amara's heart beat hard. Daniel was kind, but she knew little about his work or money. For 1 second, fear touched her. Daniel saw it. "You can still change your mind," he whispered. She searched his face. "Do you want me to?" "No." "Then stop asking." A small smile appeared on his lips. They turned toward the entrance, but Victor walked around them and blocked the door. "One final chance," he said. Amara frowned. "Move. Come with me. The car is waiting. Leave this place, and I will make sure nobody blames you." Daniel stayed silent. Victor held out his hand. "I can give you a house, your own company, and your family back. All you must do is leave him." Amara looked at his hand as the guests watched. "You think this is love?" she asked. "I think this is sense." "No, this is a deal. It is a better deal than poverty." Amara slapped his hand away. "I would rather struggle with a good man than live in a palace with someone who enjoys making others feel small." Victor's face turned red. "You will regret saying that. Move." He looked at Daniel. "When she comes crying to me, I will remind her of today." Daniel stepped forward until only a small space remained between them. "She will never need to cry to you." Something in Daniel's voice made Victor move aside. Amara and Daniel entered the hotel. Chief Bello ordered the guests to follow. Mrs. Bello remained near the door, wiping her eyes, while Victor stared at the old scooter. Inside, white flowers and gold cloth covered the hall. Guests entered slowly, still whispering. Amara leaned toward Daniel. "That phone in your bag," she said. "Whose call was that?" Daniel looked ahead. "Someone from work." "You never use that phone." "I only use it for certain matters." "What matters?" He stopped beside the doors leading to the wedding hall. "I will explain." "When?" "After the ceremony." Amara wanted to press him, but her father was coming and the wedding planner was calling everyone inside. "Trust me a little longer." She nodded, though questions crowded her mind. She wanted to believe him, yet the hidden phone and his strange calm made her wonder how much of Daniel's life had been kept from her. Still, she refused to question him before their vows in that moment. Daniel stepped away and entered a quiet side room. He closed the door, opened his bag, and took out the black phone. It rang again. He answered in a low voice. "Yes." A man spoke quickly on the other end. Daniel listened, then glanced toward the door. "No changes," he said. Continue with the plan exactly as we agreed. Daniel ended the call, placed the black phone inside his bag, took a slow breath, and opened the door. Amara was waiting in the hallway. "You said that was someone from work," she said. "It was. What plan were you talking about?" Daniel looked toward the wedding hall. Music was already playing inside, and the wedding planner was waving at them from the far end of the hall. "I cannot explain everything now," he said. Amara folded her arms. "That is the second time you have said that. I know. You arrived on a broken scooter without warning me. You have a phone I have never seen, and now you are giving secret orders behind a locked door." Daniel lowered his voice. "Nothing I am doing will hurt you." "That is not an answer." "No, it is not." "Then give me one." He looked at her with tired eyes. "Please let us finish the ceremony first. After that, I will tell you what I can." "What you can?" "What I should have told you sooner." Before Amara could reply, the wedding planner rushed toward them. "You both need to get ready now," she said. "The guests are seated, the pastor is waiting, and your father is asking if the wedding has been canceled." "It has not been canceled," Amara said. The planner looked at Daniel's dusty jacket. "Sir, your changing room is this way." Daniel nodded, but Amara caught his hand before he could leave. "Do not disappear again," she said. "I will not. Do not make me regret standing beside you." Daniel's face softened. "I would rather lose everything than do that." He walked into the changing room. Amara followed the planner to the bridal room, where her mother and two cousins waited. Mrs. Bello stood near the mirror with tears in her eyes. Laura sat on a chair, looking annoyed. "So you are truly going ahead with this?" Mrs. Bello asked. "Yes." "After what your father said?" "Yes." Laura laughed. "You say yes as if you are proud." Amara faced her. "I am proud that I did not join all of you in treating a good man like dirt." "You do not even know if he is good," Laura replied. "A good man would not bring shame to his bride. He came to marry me. That is what matters." In a broken jacket and on a machine that sounded like it was begging for death, Mrs. Bello raised one hand. "Enough, Laura." Laura stood. "I am only trying to help her." "No," Amara said. "You are trying to make me feel foolish. Maybe because you are being foolish." Amara stepped closer. "Then leave." Laura blinked. "What?" "Leave the bridal room. Leave the wedding too if you cannot show respect. You cannot throw me out. This is my wedding." Laura looked at Mrs. Bello for help. When none came, she grabbed her bag and walked out. Mrs. Bello waited until the door closed. "You are pushing everyone away. I am asking them to stop hurting the man I love." Her mother sat beside her. "Yet you look worried." "Because Daniel is hiding something." Mrs. Bello took her hand. "Come home with us. We can end this quietly." Amara shook her head. "I will not leave him because he has secrets. I will ask him for the truth. And if the truth is bad, then I will face it after I hear it from him." A knock came at the door. The wedding planner entered and smiled nervously. "It is time." Across the hallway, Daniel stood before a mirror in a plain dark suit. It was clean but old, and the sleeves were short. Victor entered without knocking. Daniel saw him in the mirror. "This room is private." Victor closed the door. "I wanted to see the famous wedding suit. You have seen it. Now leave." Victor looked him over. No fine cloth, no gold watch, no costly shoes. Daniel faced him. "Why does that trouble you?" "It does not trouble me. It makes me laugh." "Then laugh and go." Victor's smile disappeared. "You think you won because she chose you outside. This is not a game. Some men are born to win, and others are born to watch." Daniel picked up his bag. "You speak like a man who is afraid." "Afraid of you?" "Yes." Victor moved closer. "What could a man like you take from me?" Daniel met his eyes. "Amara already chose me. Maybe that is what hurts." Victor's jaw tightened. "She will understand her mistake." "Not today. Today is only the beginning." Daniel opened the door. "Then watch carefully." When Daniel entered the wedding hall, The guests turned and began whispering. "That suit looks borrowed," one woman said. "Maybe the hotel cleaner gave it to him," a man answered. Daniel kept walking. At the front, Chief Bello stood beside Mrs. Bello without smiling. Amara entered with her uncle. Everyone rose as her eyes searched the room and found Daniel. She saw his simple suit and smiled. Daniel smiled back. The music stopped, and the pastor spoke about trust, love, and standing together. Daniel ignored the guests and kept his eyes on Amara. The pastor asked, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Chief Bello was meant to answer, but he remained silent. The hall became still. Mrs. Bello touched his arm. "Say it." Chief Bello looked at Daniel. "I cannot give my daughter to a man who cannot care for her." Amara's uncle slowly released her hand. "Father," Amara said, "do not do this. I warned you." The pastor cleared his throat. "This should have been handled before the ceremony. I tried." She refused to listen. Amara stepped forward. "You are trying to shame me. I am trying to save you." Victor rose from his seat. "Perhaps the groom can answer one simple question." Amara turned. "Sit down." Victor ignored her. "Daniel, how do you plan to support her?" The guests began whispering again. Daniel looked at the pastor. "May we continue?" Victor laughed. "That is not an answer. This is not your wedding. But it is a fair question. Where will she live?" Daniel stayed silent. "What work do you do?" Victor asked. "How much do you earn? Do you even have enough money to repair that scooter?" A few guests laughed. Amara's face burned. "Stop this now." Victor spread his hands. "Everyone wants to know." Daniel looked across the hall. "You do not have a right to know everything about my life." Chief Bello stepped forward. "You want my daughter, yet you refuse to explain how you will feed her? I have never asked Amara or your family for money. That does not prove anything. I work." "Where?" Daniel's eyes hardened. "That is private." Victor smiled. "Private means there is nothing." Daniel turned to him. "No. Private means I will not perform for men who have already decided to hate me." The laughter stopped. Chief Bello pointed toward the doors. "A real man would answer." Daniel spoke calmly. "A real man does not need to shout about what he owns." Victor moved into the aisle. "Then say it quietly. Tell us your job." Daniel glanced at Amara. She was watching him closely. "I manage business matters," he said. "What kind of business?" Chief Bello asked. "Several kinds." Victor laughed. "That sounds like a lie." Daniel did not react. Amara walked to him. "Daniel, I am not asking because of them. I am asking because I need to understand. Why will you not tell us?" His expression changed when he looked at her. "Because once I do, this room will change." "What does that mean?" "It means people may stop showing us who they really are." She searched his face. "Is that what today is about?" "Partly." Chief Bello shook his head. "More riddles." The pastor raised both hands. "The bride and groom must decide what they want." "I know what I want," Amara said. "So do I," Daniel replied. Victor pointed at him. "Then answer the question." Daniel faced the hall. "No." A shocked sound passed through the room. "I will not speak about my money to earn your respect," he continued. "If my clothes, my scooter, and my silence are enough to make you cruel, then anything I say will come too late." Victor's face tightened. "You have no money." Daniel looked at him with a calm that made Amara uneasy. "Believe whatever helps you sleep." Then Daniel turned back to the pastor and held out his hand to Amara. She placed her hand in his, but as the pastor began again, one thought would not leave her mind. The pastor began speaking again, but Amara barely heard him. Daniel's hand was warm around hers, yet his calm no longer felt simple. It felt planned, as if he had been waiting for this moment all day. Why did a man with nothing stand so calmly before people who believed they could destroy him? The answer came when Daniel squeezed Amara's hand and the pastor asked them to face each other. Daniel quietly looked at her as if no one else was there. "Amara Bello," he said, "I do not promise that every day will be easy, I do not promise that people will always understand us, but I promise that I will stand beside you, tell you the truth, and never make you feel alone. Amara held his eyes. Even so, when the pastor asked if she accepted Daniel as her husband, she answered, "I do." Daniel gave the same answer, and the pastor joined their hands. A few people clapped. When the ceremony ended, Daniel leaned close to Amara. "Thank you for trusting me. I am still waiting for answers," she whispered. "You will get them. When? Soon. That word is beginning to annoy me." Daniel almost smiled. "I understand." The doors to the reception hall opened, and music filled the air. The room looked beautiful, but the guests carried the same ugly mood inside with them. As Daniel and Amara entered, some people clapped while others whispered about his old suit, his dead scooter, and the way Chief Bello had refused to bless the marriage. Amara tried to ignore them. She and Daniel reached the main table, but Chief Bello took the seat farthest from Daniel. Mrs. Bello sat beside him, twisting a cloth in her hands. The host raised a glass. "Let us welcome the newly married couple." A weak cheer moved through the hall. Victor sat at a table close to the front. Food was served, and for a few minutes the room became calmer. Daniel touched none of his meal. "Are you all right?" Amara asked. "I am." "You have not eaten." "I am thinking." "About your plan?" Daniel looked at her. "About what comes next." "Then tell me." Before he could answer, the host tapped the microphone. "We will now hear from family and friends." Laura hurried to the stage first. She had returned after leaving the bridal room, and her smile told Amara that she had not come to make peace. "My dear cousin," Laura began, "you have always been brave, sometimes too brave. Today, you proved that you can follow your heart even when everyone else sees danger." A few guests laughed softly. Amara's face tightened. Laura continued, "I only hope love is enough to repair scooters, pay rent, and buy food." The laughter grew louder. Daniel remained seated. Amara pushed her chair back, but Daniel touched her hand. "Let her finish." "Why?" "Because every word tells us who she is." Laura raised her glass. "To Amara and Daniel. May their love last longer than his scooter." The room burst into laughter. Amara stood. "Laura, leave the stage." Laura blinked. "It was only a joke." "No, it was cruel." Chief Bello spoke from his seat. "Sit down, Amara. Do not create another scene." "She created it. It is your wedding. Learn to smile." Amara stared at her father. "You want me to smile while people insult my husband?" Daniel stood slowly. "Amara, please." She turned to him. "Why are you letting them do this?" "Because their words cannot change me. They are hurting you. They are showing me something useful." "What?" "Who deserves a place in our life after today?" The room grew quiet enough for several guests to hear him. Laura stepped down without another word. The host tried to save the moment. "Perhaps someone else would like to speak." Victor rose. "I would." Amara's stomach tightened. "No." Victor walked toward the stage. "Do not worry. I brought a wedding gift." He took the microphone and smiled at the crowd. "I have known Amara's family for many years. Chief Bello is a great businessman, and Mrs. Bello is a woman of class. Amara also grew up with every comfort." Daniel watched him without moving. Victor reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick white envelope. "Daniel, please come forward." Daniel stayed beside Amara. Victor shook the envelope. "Do not be shy." "What is it?" Daniel asked. "A small gift from one man to another." Daniel walked to the stage. The guests leaned closer. Victor held out the envelope. "There is enough money here to repair your scooter. If it cannot be repaired, perhaps you can buy a better one." Laughter filled the hall again. Daniel looked at the envelope but did not take it. Victor smiled wider. "Go on. You need it." "No, I do not. Pride will not carry your wife home." Daniel took the envelope at last. Victor turned toward the guests as if he had won, but Daniel opened it, removed the money, and counted it slowly. Victor frowned. "What are you doing?" "Making sure it is all here." More laughter followed. Daniel finished counting, placed the money back inside, and held out the envelope. Victor stared at it. "Keep it. I do not want it. You need it more than I do." Daniel pushed the envelope into Victor's hand. "Then give it to someone who asked." Victor's smile disappeared. "You think you are too good for my help?" "No. I think help given to shame someone is not help." The room went silent. Victor lowered the microphone. "Be careful." Daniel took it from him. "You have spent this entire day trying to prove that you are better than me because of your clothes, your car, and your money. But a man's value is not measured by what he drives or what he wears. It is measured by how he treats people when he believes they have nothing to offer him." Several guests looked away. Daniel continued. "You saw an old scooter and decided I was worthless. You saw a simple suit and decided I should be mocked. You did not ask whether I was honest, whether I worked hard, or whether I loved Amara. You only asked what I owned." Victor stepped closer. "Do not lecture me." Daniel held his gaze. "Then stop giving me reasons." A few guests clapped. More people joined. Victor's face turned red. He grabbed the envelope and left the stage. Daniel returned the microphone to the host and walked back to Amara. She stood and took his hand. "That was the first clear thing you have said all day," she whispered. "There will be more." Chief Bello suddenly rose from his chair. "No, there will be no more speeches from you." He walked to the stage and took the microphone. Mrs. Bello followed him with fear in her eyes. "Please," she said. "Not here. This must be said here," Chief Bello replied. Amara stepped forward. "Father, enough." He looked across the hall. "Everyone in this room knows that I worked for years to build Bello Holdings. I plan to pass part of that company to my daughter." Amara's throat tightened. Chief Bello looked directly at Daniel. "But a person who rejects this family cannot expect to enjoy what this family built." Mrs. Bello touched his arm. "Think about what you are doing." "I have thought about it." He faced Amara. "If you remain married to Daniel, you will receive no shares in Bello Holdings." Gasps moved across the hall. Amara stared at him. "You are using the company to control me. I am protecting it. From my husband? From your poor choices." Daniel stepped beside her. "Sir, your company belongs to you. You may do whatever you wish with it." Chief Bello narrowed his eyes. "I was not speaking to you, but your threat is about me. It is about my daughter choosing a man who has nothing." Daniel's face stayed calm. "Then keep everything." Amara turned to him. "Daniel." He looked at her. "You already gave up enough for me today. You do not need to beg for what should never be used against you." Chief Bello pointed toward them. "Hear me clearly, Amara. No shares, no seat on the board, no part of the family business, and no money from me. If you walk out with him, you walk out with nothing." The hall became silent. Amara looked at her mother, but Mrs. Bello lowered her eyes. She looked at Laura, who watched with an open mouth, and then at Victor, who stood near the back holding the white envelope. At last, Amara faced her father. "You keep saying I will have nothing, but I still have my name, my hands, and the man I chose." Chief Bello's face hardened. "Do not come back when love fails you." Amara took Daniel's hand. "Love has not failed me today. My family has." The words struck the room like a slap. Chief Bello lowered the microphone, but his anger did not leave his face. Daniel looked at Amara with quiet pride, while the guests stared at the couple they had mocked all day. Then Daniel's black phone began to vibrate inside his bag once more, but this time he did not reach for it. Daniel's black phone kept vibrating inside his bag while the hall stayed silent. Amara looked toward it. "Are you going to answer that?" she asked. "Not here," Daniel said. Chief Bello laughed. "A man with secrets always needs a quiet room." The phone stopped, but Chief Bello's phone began to ring. He frowned at the name on the screen and answered. "Yes, Mr. Grant. I was not expecting your call today." As he listened, his shoulders dropped. "What do you mean the deal is off?" he asked. Mrs. Bello moved closer. "What happened?" He raised one finger, telling her to wait. No, you cannot cancel now," Chief Bello said into the phone. "The papers are ready." We agreed to sign on Monday. Daniel watched him closely. Mr. Grant, please listen. Bello Holdings spent money based on your promise. The call ended and Chief Bello stared at the screen. Mrs. Bello touched his arm. Tell me what happened. Our largest investor has pulled out, he said. A low whisper spread through the room. Amara forgot her anger for a moment. The Grant deal. Chief Bello looked at her. Yes, but that deal was going to save the company. I know what it was going to do. Victor hurried forward. How much money are we talking about? Chief Bello did not answer at first. Then he lowered his voice. Enough to keep our factories open. Amara's face changed. What happens without it? Her father looked toward the tables, as if he hated that so many people were listening. We may not have enough money to pay everyone next month. Mrs. Bello covered her mouth. How many workers? More than 600. The guests stopped laughing. Several business partners checked their phones. Victor touched Chief Bello's shoulder. I can fix this. Daniel watched him. Chief Bello looked up. How? My company can provide a short loan. How soon? By tomorrow. Amara stepped closer. What will you ask for? Victor frowned. This is about saving your father. Chief Bello turned to Victor. What are your terms? Victor glanced at Daniel before answering. Only a fair share of Bello Holdings. How much? 40%. Chief Bello's eyes widened. That is not a loan. That is taking my company. It is keeping your company alive. Amara shook her head. Father, do not agree. Chief Bello snapped. You gave up your place in the company. This no longer concerns you. It concerns the workers. Victor smiled. The workers will lose everything if I do nothing. Daniel finally spoke. How much money does the company need? Chief Bello turned on him. You could not even arrive in a proper car. Do not speak about my business. Daniel stayed calm. I asked a simple question, and I do not need your advice. Victor laughed. Maybe he wants to offer the coins in his pocket. Daniel looked at Chief Bello. If 600 people may lose their jobs, pride should not stop you from hearing every idea. Chief Bello stepped toward him. What idea could you have? Daniel did not answer. Amara watched him. Daniel. His black phone vibrated again. Daniel reached into the bag and took it out. Before he could answer, Victor pointed at the phone. That is a costly phone for a poor man. Daniel looked at him. You notice objects quickly. I notice lies. Chief Bello spoke over them. This is not the time. No, Daniel said. It is not. He turned to Amara. I need 5 minutes. Why? To take this call. Is it connected to what is happening? Daniel paused. It may be. Chief Bello laughed bitterly. Now he wants us to believe he can save the company. Daniel's face did not change. I did not say that. You did not need to. Victor walked closer. Take your call. Perhaps your scooter repairman has good business advice. Daniel looked at Amara. I will come back. She nodded slowly. 5 minutes. He entered the side room, and Amara followed him to the door. Daniel. He stopped before closing it. Do not shut me out again, she said. I am trying to protect something. What? People who did nothing wrong. She studied his face. Is this about my father's workers? Daniel looked toward the hall. Give me 5 minutes. Then he closed the door. Inside the room, he answered the phone. A man spoke at once. Mr. Cole, Grant has canceled the deal exactly as we expected. Daniel walked to the window. Why? Someone offered him more money to walk away. Who? We are still checking. But the payment came through a company linked to Victor Hale. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Victor? Yes, sir. Through the glass, Daniel saw Victor pretending to comfort Chief Bello. What is the condition of Bello Holdings? Daniel asked. Bad. They have enough money for less than 3 weeks. If the banks refuse another loan, the factories will close. And the workers? 643 people could lose their jobs. Daniel closed his eyes for one moment. That will not happen. Should we buy the company? No. Should we expose Victor? Not yet. There was a short silence. What do you want us to do? Move enough money into a safe account to cover 3 months of wages, rent, power, and factory costs. That is a large amount. I know. Under whose name? Daniel looked at the closed door. Use the Hope Worker Fund. Sir, that fund does not exist. It does now. And Bello Holdings? Do not tell Chief Bello where the money came from. Send the offer through the workers' bank. Make it look like a short rescue plan with no shares taken. The man sounded confused. You want to save the company after the way he treated you? I want to save the workers. They did not laugh at me. What about Victor's offer? Let him make it. Sir, if Chief Bello signs with him, Victor could gain control before our money arrives. Then make sure our offer reaches the company first. How soon? Within 1 hour. Yes, sir. Daniel lowered his voice. And continue with the other plan. The cars are ready. Keep them outside the city until I call. Yes, Mr. Cole. Daniel ended the call. Saving the company would protect hundreds of families and a man who had just rejected him. A soft knock came at the door. Daniel, Amara said from outside. Your 5 minutes are almost over. He placed the phone in his pocket and opened the door. Amara looked at him. Who were you talking to? A man who works with me. Did you help my father? I helped the people who may lose their jobs. Her eyes widened. How? I cannot explain yet. Daniel, stop saying that. I know it is hard. Hard. Her voice shook. My father may lose his company. Hundreds of people may lose their jobs. And you are standing here telling me you did something but cannot tell me what. Daniel lowered his voice. I moved money where it needs to go. Amara stared at him. How much money? Enough. Enough for what? To keep the factories open for a while. She stepped back. You have that kind of money? Before he could answer, the wedding planner rushed over. Amara, your father needs you. Victor is asking him to sign something. Victor stood at the main table with papers spread before Chief Bello. This is the only way, Victor said. Sign now, and I will send the money before morning. Chief Bello's hand shook around a pen. Amara reached the table. Do not sign. Victor looked angry. You do not understand business. I understand that you are trying to take almost half his company. I am trying to save it. Daniel stood behind Amara. Victor saw him and smiled. Did your secret call solve everything? Daniel said nothing. Chief Bello lifted the pen. I have no other choice. At that moment, his phone rang. He answered quickly. Yes. What bank? He asked. He listened and sat down. How much? Mrs. Bello leaned close. What is it? No shares? He asked into the phone. No control of the company? Victor's smile faded. Chief Bello listened for another moment. Send the papers now. The call ended. What happened? Amara asked. Her father looked stunned. A new worker rescue fund has offered enough money to cover 3 months of wages and factory costs. Victor grabbed the papers from the table. That is impossible. Chief Bello looked at him. They want no shares. Then it is a trick. They are using the workers' bank. The money has already been approved. Amara slowly turned toward Daniel. He stood quietly beside her, his hands empty and his face calm. She remembered his words in the hallway. I moved money where it needs to go. Daniel, she whispered. He met her eyes but said nothing. Across the room, Victor stared at him too. For the first time, Victor was no longer laughing. Victor stared at Daniel as if he had seen a ghost. The white envelope still hung from his hand, but his fingers had stopped moving. You did this, he said. Daniel remained beside Amara. Did what? You arranged that money. Chief Bello looked from Victor to Daniel. Do not be foolish. He could not arrange a taxi, yet you think he arranged millions? Amara did not laugh. She kept her eyes on Daniel. He told me he moved money where it needed to go. Mrs. Bello stepped closer. Daniel, is that true? Daniel looked at Amara first. Her face was full of questions, and silence would hurt her more. I made one call, he said. Chief Bello gave a cold laugh. One call? Yes. And we are supposed to believe one call from you saved 600 workers? I did not ask you to believe anything. Victor pushed past a chair. Stop speaking in riddles. Who are you? Daniel's black phone began to ring again. This time, the sound cut through the quiet room like an alarm. He took it from his pocket and answered. Yes. A man spoke on the other end. Daniel listened without looking away from Victor. Bring them in, he said. He ended the call. Victor frowned. Bring who in? Daniel slipped the phone back into his pocket. You will see. A deep sound came from outside. It seemed like thunder as more engines joined it. The guests moved toward the windows. One black car stopped at the hotel entrance. Then another came behind it. The third followed. Soon, a line of shining cars filled the road. The room went still. Laura pressed her face close to the glass. Who are all those people? People stepped from the cars. Some wore dark suits and carried files. Hotel workers rushed outside, opening doors and clearing the entrance. Chief Bello walked toward the window. That is Mr. Adeyemi. Mrs. Bello joined him. The bank owner? Yes. Another man stepped from the next car. Chief Bello's voice dropped. And that is Helen Cross. Victor turned sharply. The head of Cross Energy? A third person appeared, followed by two assistants. Someone near the back whispered, That is the minister's business advisor. The guests now pushed toward the entrance. Phones rose, but nobody smiled. Chief Bello faced the hotel manager. Why are these people here? The manager shook his head. I do not know, sir. They did not speak to me. Daniel picked up his bag. Amara caught his arm. Daniel, what is happening? He looked at her. The truth is coming inside. The doors opened. Mr. Adeyemi entered first. He was an older man with gray hair and a careful walk. Chief Bello rushed forward with both hands stretched out. Mr. Adeyemi, this is a great surprise. The banker walked past him. Chief Bello froze. Helen Cross entered behind him. Victor smiled and moved toward her. Helen, I did not know you were invited. She ignored him too. The powerful visitors entered the hall. None went toward Chief Bello, Victor, or the main table. They walked straight toward Daniel. Everyone moved aside. Mr. Adeyemi stopped in front of Daniel and lowered his head while the entire room watched. Good afternoon, Mr. Cole. Helen Cross did the same. Congratulations on your wedding, sir. Others followed. Congratulations, Mr. Cole. It is an honor to be here, sir. We came as soon as your office called. Shocked whispers moved through the hall. Amara stared at Daniel. Why are they calling you, sir? Daniel turned, but Victor spoke first. This is some kind of show. Mr. Adeyemi looked at him. Be careful how you speak. Victor laughed, though the sound was weak. You expect us to believe this man is important because a few people bowed? Helen Cross stepped forward. A few people? Victor's face tightened. She pointed toward Daniel. This man controls business deals larger than your entire company. Chief Bello shook his head. That is impossible. Mr. Adeyemi faced him. No, Chief Bello. What is impossible is that you invited half the business world to a wedding and failed to recognize the richest man in the room. A glass fell from someone's hand and broke against the floor. Amara barely heard it. She kept staring at Daniel. Richest man. Daniel's eyes stayed on her. Amara, I was going to tell you. When? Today. After everyone laughed at you? I needed to know something first. Chief Bello stepped closer. What exactly do you own? A tall woman in a dark suit entered with a silver case. She stopped beside him. Sir, the board is waiting for your final word. Daniel nodded. They can wait. Chief Bello looked at her. Who are you? My name is Grace Morgan. I am the head lawyer for Cole Global. The room exploded with voices. Cole Global? That cannot be him. Nobody knows what the owner looks like. I heard he lives outside the country. Grace waited for the noise to fall. Mr. Daniel Cole is the founder and main owner of Cole Global. Victor's face lost all color. Cole Global owned banks, hotels, factories, farms, shipping companies, and technology firms across several countries. Its name appeared on buildings, roads, and large projects. Newspapers often spoke about its hidden founder, but Daniel rarely allowed his picture to be taken. Chief Bellow's mouth opened, but no words came out. Amara stepped away from Daniel. "You own Cole Global?" "Yes. You told me you managed business matters." "I do. You made it sound like you worked in a small office." Daniel's voice became gentle. "I know." Mrs. Bellow held onto a chair. "How rich are you?" Daniel did not answer. Mr. Adeyemi answered for him. "Rich enough that no person in this room should have laughed at his scooter, though his money should not be the reason you respect him." Laura slowly lowered her phone. Chief Bellow looked at the guests who had mocked Daniel. Many now avoided his eyes. Victor forced a smile. "Anyone can claim to own a company." Grace opened the silver case and removed several papers. "These are signed company records. Would you like to read them?" Victor did not move. She continued, "The Hope Worker Fund that saved Bellow Holdings was opened this afternoon under Mr. Cole's order. The full amount came from one of his private accounts." Chief Bellow looked at Daniel. "You saved my company? I protected your workers. After everything I said to you?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "They did not say those things." Mrs. Bellow began to cry quietly. A young man rushed into the hall carrying a tablet. He stopped beside Grace. "Sir, the reports you requested are ready." Daniel nodded. "Keep them secure." Victor stared at the tablet. "What reports?" Daniel looked at him. "You seem nervous." "I am not nervous." "Then stop asking." The same guests who had laughed at Daniel now began moving closer. One man straightened his jacket. "Mr. Cole, I hope you understood that my comments were only jokes." A woman smiled too quickly. "We always knew Amara had chosen well." Daniel looked at them without warmth. 10 minutes ago, you called me useless." The woman's smile vanished. Laura came forward slowly. "Daniel, we are family now." Amara turned to her. "You said our love would not last longer than his scooter. I was trying to make everyone laugh." "You did." Laura looked at Daniel. "I am sorry." He gave no answer. Chief Bellow moved closer, his voice suddenly soft. "My son, there has been a terrible mistake." Amara looked at him in disbelief. "My son?" Chief Bellow ignored her. "You should have told us who you were." Daniel's face hardened. "Would you have treated me better?" "Of course. That is the problem." No one spoke. Outside, more cars continued to arrive. The old blue scooter still stood beside them, small and dusty among machines worth more than many homes. Victor looked through the window and then back at Daniel. "You planned all of this," he said. Daniel met his eyes. "I planned to arrive and marry Amara. You wanted to shame us." "No, you did that yourselves." Grace stepped beside Daniel. "Sir, the press has gathered outside. They want confirmation that the founder of Cole Global was married here today." The guests gasped again. Amara looked at Daniel, no longer seeing the simple man she thought she knew. He was still wearing the plain suit. His old shoes had not changed. Yet the strongest people in the city waited for his words. Daniel held out his hand to her. "Amara, I know you deserve answers." She looked at his hand but did not take it. "Not here," she said. "Not in front of all these people." Daniel lowered his hand. Chief Bellow tried to speak, but Daniel raised one finger. "No more," Daniel said. The room obeyed. For the first time that day, nobody laughed at the man who had arrived on the old scooter. Daniel looked around the hall. No one laughed now. The people who had mocked his clothes tried to stand closer, but he ignored their sudden smiles. He turned to Amara. "There is a quiet room upstairs. We can speak there." Amara folded her arms. "You should have spoken before today." "I know. That does not fix it." "No, but the truth may help." She looked at the guests watching them. Her father stood with his head low. Her mother kept wiping her eyes. Victor had moved toward the back of the room, but his stare never left Daniel. "Fine," Amara said. "Let us talk." Daniel led her toward the stairs. Grace followed them for a few steps, but he raised a hand. "No one comes with us." "Yes, sir," Grace replied. Amara noticed how quickly the lawyer obeyed. It made the space between her and Daniel feel wider. They entered a small room above the hall. It had 2 chairs and a window facing the gate. Amara could see the old scooter between rows of black cars. Daniel closed the door. Amara stayed standing. "Start from the beginning." He placed his jacket over a chair. "My full name is Daniel Elijah Cole. I started Cole Global 12 years ago." 12 years? She asked. "You were barely an adult. I was 20. How?" "With a small delivery company, 1 borrowed truck, and more debt than sense." Amara shook her head. "You told me you worked with business owners." "I did. You did not tell me you owned the businesses." "No." "Why?" Daniel pulled out a chair for her, but she did not sit. "Because the moment people learn my name, they stop seeing me." "That makes no sense." "It will." He sat down. "When Cole Global became successful, people who ignored me suddenly wanted to be my friends. Men laughed at bad jokes. Women said they loved me before knowing me." Amara's eyes narrowed. "You think I would have done that?" "No." "Then why did you hide it from me?" "Because I did not know that at first." "So you tested me?" Daniel looked down. "Yes." She took a step back. "Our whole relationship was a test?" "No. My feelings were real. But you watched me like I was applying for a job. That is not how it began." "Then tell me how it began." Daniel lifted his eyes. "The day we met, an old woman dropped her bag outside a store. Fruit rolled into the road. Everyone walked around her, but you helped." Amara remembered the day. Daniel had been wearing simple jeans and holding a paper cup. "You were watching me?" "I was waiting for a taxi. Then you missed your bus because you stayed with her. I offered you a ride." "On that scooter?" "Yes. You said it was the only thing you owned." "I said it was the oldest thing I owned." Amara stared at him. "That was clever." "It was dishonest." Daniel did not defend himself. She sat down. "What happened after your company became rich?" "I tried to live the way people expected. I bought large homes, expensive cars, and clothes I did not like. I went to events every night because my advisors said powerful people needed to see me." "And women?" Daniel paused. "There were women." Amara's fingers tightened around the edge of the chair. "They wanted Daniel Cole, the man in the newspapers," he continued. "One woman brought a list of houses she wanted before our 3rd meeting. Another secretly called a reporter and told him we were engaged. We had never even discussed marriage." "So you decided every woman was greedy?" "No. I decided I could not tell who was honest." "That still does not give you the right to lie to me." "You are right." The simple answer stopped her anger for a second. Daniel leaned forward. "I met you while I was living quietly for a few months. I wanted to breathe without guards and cameras. I expected to return to my normal life. Then you kept talking to me. You were the one who asked for my number. And you refused." Amara wanted to smile but held it back. "You were a stranger on a noisy scooter. You said my helmet smelled like onions." "It did. My driver had carried food in it." She stared at him. "Your driver?" He nodded. Amara covered her face for a moment. "Even the helmet had a secret. I bought a new one after that." "You should have bought honesty." "I should have." Silence filled the room. Reporters gathered below while guards held them back. Amara looked at the scooter. "Why keep that old thing if you have all those cars?" Daniel followed her eyes. "It belonged to my father. He bought it when I was 10, Daniel continued. "We had almost nothing. My mother had died and he worked 2 jobs. In the morning, he carried bread to shops. At night, he cleaned offices. He used that scooter in the rain, under the hot sun, and even when he was sick. Some days, it broke down and we pushed it home together. When I wanted to leave school and work, he refused. He said I would build something better with my mind. He sold his tools to pay my first school fee. What happened to him? He died before Cole Global became successful. Amara's anger softened, but it did not disappear. I am sorry, he nodded. The scooter is the last thing I have that still feels like him. I repaired it many times. I could replace every part, but I never wanted to replace the whole thing. Why bring it today? Because my father once told me that the person I married should know the boy who pushed that scooter, not only the man who owns hundreds of cars. Amara looked outside. Did you expect people to laugh? I thought some might. So this was planned. The scooter was planned. The cruelty was their choice. And you said nothing while they attacked you. I needed to see how people treated me when they thought I had nothing. Amara stood again. Including me. Daniel rose too. Yes. That is the part one cannot accept. I understand. No, you do not. I stood against my father. I gave up my job, my home, and my place in the company. I thought we were stepping into a hard life together. I would never have allowed you to suffer. But I did not know that. I made my choice while afraid. That is why your choice mattered. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Do you hear yourself? You are praising me for passing a test I never agreed to take. Daniel's face fell. You are right. You keep saying that. Because I was wrong. Then why wait until the wedding? Daniel moved closer but did not touch her. I was afraid that telling you earlier would change something between us. It has changed something now. I know. She wiped one tear away. Did you ever plan to marry me as Daniel, the poor man, and keep hiding everything? No. The papers in Grace's case include my full records and a letter for you. I planned to tell you after the ceremony. After I could no longer walk away without shame. Daniel looked struck by the words. I did not think of it that way. You should have. Yes. Amara looked at him for a long time. Why me? Because you were kind when nobody was watching. Because you listened when I spoke about my father. Because you did not ask what I earned on our first, second, or 10th meeting. Because when the scooter broke down one night, you helped me push it for 2 miles and laughed the whole way. I was angry that night. You laughed after you called it a blue goat. She almost smiled. Daniel continued, I did not fall in love with you because you passed a test. I fell in love with you because every day with you felt honest. Then I ruined that honesty by hiding too much. A knock sounded at the door. Sir, Grace called from outside. The press is demanding a statement. Daniel did not answer her. He kept looking at Amara. Tell them to wait. Grace paused. Yes, sir. Amara walked toward the door, then stopped. I need time. You can have it. I am not saying everything is fine. I know. I married the man on the scooter. I do not yet know the man all those people bowed to. Daniel's eyes were full of pain. They are the same man. Then prove it without another test. She opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Daniel remained by the window. Below him, the old scooter stood under the lights, holding the memory of the poor boy he had once been and the secret that had nearly cost him the woman he loved. Amara walked down the hallway with tears still warm on her face. She had only taken a few steps when Grace came toward her holding the silver case. Mrs. Cole, are you all right? Amara almost corrected the name. Then she remembered that she had married Daniel less than an hour ago. I do not know, she said. Before Amara could answer, loud voices rose from the stairs. Victor was arguing with one of Daniel's guards. Get out of my way, Victor shouted. I was invited to this wedding. The guard blocked him. Mr. Cole asked everyone to remain downstairs. Victor saw Amara. Tell this man to move. Why are you coming upstairs? She asked. Your husband lied to you. That is between Daniel and me. A door opened behind Amara. Daniel came into the hallway. What is happening? He asked. Daniel looked at the guard. Let him pass. Victor walked forward. You plan to embarrass everyone here. Daniel shook his head. You keep blaming me for what you did. Victor's eyes moved. What I did? Grace opened the silver case. Sir, the final reports are ready. Daniel looked at Amara. You asked me to prove that the man you married and the man they bowed to are the same person. I need to show you something. Show me. she said. Daniel led them into a small meeting room. Grace entered with Amara. Victor tried to follow. Daniel stopped at the door. "Come in. I want you to hear everything." Inside, Grace placed a tablet and several papers on the table. Grace opened the first file. At 8 this morning, a black wedding car was sent to Mr. Cole's home. Amara looked at Daniel. "There was a car?" "Yes, the scooter was meant to follow later. I planned to show it to you after the ceremony." "Then why did you arrive on it?" Grace turned the tablet toward her. A picture showed a black car beside a road. Its front wheel leaned at a strange angle. "The car broke down 12 miles from the hotel," Grace said. "Two important parts had been cut." Amara stared at the picture. "Cut?" "Yes, it was not an accident." Victor folded his arms. "Cars break down every day." Grace opened another picture. "These marks were made by a tool." Daniel looked at Victor. "Your man was there." Grace played a short video. It showed a parking area behind Daniel's home. A man in a cap moved toward the wedding car before sunrise. He bent near the front wheel and stayed there for several minutes. His jacket carried the name of Victor's transport company. Amara turned toward Victor. "Who is he?" "I do not know." Grace touched the screen, and a second picture appeared. It showed the same man standing beside Victor outside an office. Victor's face tightened. "Many people work for me." "His name is Paul Reed," Grace said. "He has been your private driver for 4 years." Victor pointed at the screen. "A picture proves nothing." Grace opened a message report. "At 6:30 this morning, you sent him the address of Mr. Cole's home." Victor stepped back. "That is private. You used a company phone." Amara felt cold. "Why would you damage the car?" Victor looked at her. "I did not." Daniel's voice stayed calm. "You wanted me to arrive late or not arrive at all." "That is a lie. You knew I would use the scooter if the car failed." Amara looked between them. "How did he know about the scooter?" Daniel answered. "He saw me riding it 2 months ago." Victor said, "Anyone could have seen you." "But not everyone followed me home," Daniel replied. Amara stared at Victor. "You followed him? I wanted to know who you were marrying. You wanted something you could use against him." Victor's face grew red. "Your father asked me to check him." Chief Bellow's voice came from the doorway. "I asked you to learn about his work. I did not ask you to damage a car." Chief Bellow and Mrs. Bellow stood outside. "I wanted answers, not a crime," Chief Bellow said. Mrs. Bellow looked at her husband. "Is that true?" Chief Bellow lowered his eyes. "I thought Daniel was hiding something." "So you sent Victor after him?" Amara asked. "I made a mistake." Daniel looked at Grace. "Continue." Grace opened another file. 3 weeks ago, a company linked to Victor paid Mr. Grant to leave the Bellow Holdings deal. Chief Bellow stepped into the room. "What?" Grace placed a bank paper on the table. "The payment came through Hale Trade Services. Victor owns that company." Chief Bellow grabbed the paper. "You caused Grant to pull out?" "The record is here," Grace said. Victor looked at Chief Bellow. "I was trying to help you. By destroying my deal, Grant's money would only delay the end. Your company is failing. So you created the crisis and then offered me a loan," Chief Bellow said. "I offered a way out. You asked for 40% of my company. I was taking a risk." Daniel stepped forward. "There was no risk. You planned to gain control after the company lost its investor." Victor pointed at him. "You buy weak companies too. I do not make them weak first." Amara's voice shook. "Did you pay Grant?" Victor did not answer. "Look at me," she said. "Did you pay him to leave my father's company?" "I did what was needed." Amara stepped back as if he had struck her. Chief Bellow crushed the paper in his hand. 600 workers could have lost their jobs. They would have kept their jobs after I took control. "And my father?" Amara asked. Victor looked at Chief Bellow. "He would keep a small place on the board." Chief Bellow rushed forward, but Daniel caught his arm. "Let me go," Chief Bellow shouted. "He tried to steal everything I built." Daniel held him back. Do not make this worse. Victor fixed his jacket. You all needed me. No, Amara said. You needed us to be afraid. Victor looked at her. I did it for you. You damaged Daniel's car for me? I wanted you to see him as weak. You attacked my father's company for me? I wanted to save it and give you the life you deserved. Amara's eyes filled again. You wanted to own everything around me, including me. Victor slammed his hand on the table. I loved you before he came. You never loved me. You wanted to win. Grace closed the tablet. We also have the driver's statement. He has agreed to speak to the police. You called the police? Victor asked. Not yet. I wanted Amara and her family to hear the truth first, Daniel said. Chief Bello pointed at him. Call them now. Daniel looked at Amara. That choice is not mine alone. Victor stepped toward her. Amara, listen to me. Everyone knew I was the better choice. Better because you had money? She asked. Yes. Daniel spoke softly. That was the only thing you believed made you better. Victor looked at Daniel's plain suit. Now you can pretend money does not matter because you have more than anyone. Amara answered before Daniel could. Daniel hid his wealth and that hurt me. But when my father's workers were in danger, he helped them. You used your wealth to place those workers in danger. Victor's face twisted. So you forgive him? I did not say that. The words hit both men. Amara looked at Daniel. You lied because you feared I might love your money. Victor lied because he wanted power. Both of you made choices for me without asking me. Daniel lowered his head. You are right. Victor laughed. There he goes again, acting humble. At least he can admit when he is wrong, Amara said. 2 police officers appeared at the end of the hallway. Grace had called them while Victor was speaking. Victor looked around. You said you had not called them. Daniel's eyes stayed cold. I had not. Grace did. The officers entered and asked Victor to step away from the table. He pointed at Amara. Tell them this is a family matter. It stopped being a family matter when you tried to destroy hundreds of lives, she replied. As they led him out, Victor looked back at Daniel. This is not over. For today it is, Daniel said. Victor looked at Amara, but she turned away. No one there tried to stop them, and no one could pretend that Victor was innocent any longer now. Chief Bello sat heavily in a chair. Mrs. Bello stood beside him, silent and pale. Daniel remained near the window, giving Amara space. The truth was now in the open. Victor had caused the broken car and the crisis that almost destroyed her father's company. But as Amara looked at Daniel, one hard question still remained. After everything both men had hidden, who could she truly trust? Amara kept looking at Daniel while the police led Victor down the stairs. The hallway slowly became quiet, but the silence felt heavier than the shouting that had filled it before. Chief Bello sat with both hands on his knees. Mrs. Bello stood beside him. Neither of them knew what to say. Daniel did not move closer to Amara. You asked who you can trust, he said. You do not have to answer today. Amara looked at him. You keep giving me time now, but you did not give me the truth before. I know, and my family only began to respect you after they saw your cars. Daniel turned toward Chief Bello. That is what I am wondering too. Chief Bello raised his head. Daniel, I was wrong. Daniel's face stayed calm. About what? About you. Because I am rich? Chief Bello opened his mouth, then closed it. Daniel stepped nearer. If I owned nothing but that scooter, would you still be sorry? Mrs. Bello began to cry again. We were afraid for our daughter. You laughed while she was being hurt, Daniel said. I did not laugh. You stood beside people who did. Mrs. Bello lowered her eyes. Chief Bello rose from the chair. I judged you too quickly. You judged me by my clothes, my car, and what you thought was in my bank account. I wanted Amara to have a safe life. Daniel's voice became firm. A safe life with Victor? Chief Bello looked toward the stairs where Victor had been taken away. I did not know what he was doing, he said. You knew how he treated people. I thought he was proud, not dangerous. You watched him shame me. Chief Bello breathed in slowly. Yes. And you joined him. Chief Bello looked at Amara. I thought I was protecting you. Amara shook her head. You were protecting your pride. Her father looked hurt. Amara, you cared more about what the guests thought than how I felt. I made a mistake. No, father. You made many choices. You invited Victor. You asked him to investigate Daniel. You threatened to remove me from the company. Then you called Daniel your son the moment you learned he was rich. Chief Bello's shoulders fell. Mrs. Bello reached for Amara's hand, but Amara stepped back. Please, her mother said. We are still your family. You told me love would not feed me. I was scared. Would you be scared now if Daniel were poor? Mrs. Bello could not answer. Daniel turned toward Grace. Please ask everyone downstairs to leave the hotel. Chief Bello looked surprised. This is still my daughter's wedding. Daniel faced him. The wedding ended when the guests turned it into a place of shame. Amara spoke softly. Let them go. Grace nodded and left. Chief Bello rubbed his forehead. What do you want from us? Daniel answered, Honesty. I said I am sorry. I heard you. I am asking why. Chief Bello looked through the window at the black cars outside. I am sorry because I treated a good man badly. How do you know I am good? You saved my workers. You did not know that when I arrived. No. If I had not saved them, would your answer be different? Chief Bello remained silent. Daniel nodded. That silence is your answer. Mrs. Bello stepped forward. Then tell us how to make this right. Daniel looked at Amara. That is not for me to decide. Amara walked to the table where her wedding flowers had been placed. The bright flowers now looked tired. She touched one petal, then turned toward her parents. I do not need you to bow to Daniel, she said. I need you to understand why what you did was wrong. Chief Bello nodded quickly. I understand. No, you understand that he is powerful. That is not the same thing. Her father looked down. Amara continued. You believed a poor man could be insulted because he had nothing to give you. You believed money made Victor better. Now you know Daniel has more money than Victor, and suddenly you want Daniel close. Chief Bello's eyes filled with shame. What should I say? He asked. Say what you would say if Daniel truly owned only that old scooter. Chief Bello looked at Daniel for a long moment. Then he walked toward him and stopped. If the scooter was all you owned, I should still have welcomed you because my daughter chose you, he said. I should have asked how you treated her, not how much money you had. I should have judged your heart, not your clothes. Daniel watched him carefully. Chief Bello continued, I do not deserve your trust today. I will not ask you to call me father. But I am sorry for every word I used to make you feel small. Daniel gave a slow nod. That sounds honest. Mrs. Bello wiped her cheeks. I am sorry too. I saw Amara standing alone, and I still told her to leave you. I was afraid of losing comfort. I should have been afraid of losing my daughter. Amara's anger softened, but she did not run into her mother's arms. I need time, she said. Mrs. Bello nodded. I will wait. Laura appeared at the end of the hallway. She had removed her shoes and held them in one hand. Her face was red from crying. May I speak? She asked. Amara looked at her. Speak. Laura walked closer. I made jokes because I wanted people to notice me. When everyone laughed, I felt important. Daniel said nothing. Laura looked at him. I am sorry I used your pain to make myself look funny. Would you be sorry if I were poor? Daniel asked. Laura swallowed. I want to say yes, but I do not know. I only saw how ugly I looked after I learned the truth. That is more honest than the other answers, Daniel said. Laura nodded with tears in her eyes. I will do better. Amara looked around the room at the people who had suddenly learned how cruel they had been. Then she noticed the gold necklace around her own neck. It was a wedding gift from her father. The stones were worth more than many workers earned in years. She lifted her hands and removed it. Mrs. Bello frowned. What are you doing? Amara placed the necklace on the table. Then she removed her diamond earrings and gold bracelets. Chief Bello stepped forward. Those belong to you. No, they belong to the life you wanted me to choose. Amara, you do not have to prove anything. Yes, I do, but not to you. She turned toward Daniel. He watched her with worry. Amara slipped off the costly ring her father had given her before the ceremony and placed it beside the necklace. She kept only the simple wedding ring Daniel had put on her finger. Daniel spoke quietly. You do not need to give those things away. I am not doing this because money is bad. Then why? Because I need you to hear me without any doubt. She walked toward him. When I stood outside and took your hand, I thought the scooter was all you had, she said. I believed we might live in one small room. I believed I might have to work 2 jobs. I was afraid, but I still chose you. Daniel's eyes became wet. Amara continued, I did not choose Cole Global. I did not choose the black cars or the people who bowed. I chose the man who listened when I spoke, brought soup when I was sick, and stayed with me when my father shouted. Daniel reached for her, then stopped. Are you saying you forgive me? I am saying I love you. Forgiveness will take work. He nodded. I will do the work. No more tests. Never again. No more hidden phones. I will show you everything. No more telling me later when you can tell me now. I promise. Amara looked through the window at the scooter. If that old scooter were truly everything you owned, I would still be your wife. Daniel finally understood that her love had never depended on his money. The simple touch did not erase the hurt between them, but it gave them a place to begin. Chief Bello watched their joined hands and seemed to understand that he could not buy his way back into their trust. Mrs. Bello quietly picked up the jewelry and placed it inside its box, not to return it yet, but to keep it safe until Amara decided what to do. Laura stepped away without making another joke. For once, nobody in the room really cared about the cars, the company, or the money waiting outside. He held out his hand, not as a rich man asking to be trusted, but as the same quiet man she had chosen outside. This time, Amara took it. Daniel closed his fingers around Amara's hand, and for the first time that day, she did not feel trapped between 2 worlds. She was still hurt, but she was no longer alone. Around them, the costly flowers, gold chairs, and shining lights felt less important than the quiet promise in Daniel's eyes. Chief Bello cleared his throat. What happens to my company now? Daniel turned toward him. The rescue money stays. Chief Bello looked surprised. Even after everything, the workers still need their jobs. And the company? You will keep control of it, but there will be new rules. Chief Bello's face tightened. What rules? No hidden loans. No risky deals without a full report. No using workers as numbers on a page. Chief Bello nodded slowly. That is fair. Daniel looked toward Grace, who had returned to the room. Set up a team to check every account. The workers must be paid first. Yes, sir, Grace said. Chief Bello looked ashamed. You are saving what I almost lost. Daniel shook his head. I am giving you time. What you do with that time will show whether you deserve it. Mrs. Bello touched her husband's arm. We will do better. Daniel did not answer. He had heard many promises that day. Downstairs, the guests were leaving in small groups. Some walked quickly because they were ashamed. Others stayed near the doors, hoping Daniel might speak to them. A man who had laughed at the scooter stepped forward. Mr. Cole, I own a building company. Perhaps we can meet next week. Daniel looked at him. Why? The man smiled. To discuss business. You did not want to speak with me this morning. I did not know who you were. You knew I was a person. The man's smile disappeared. Daniel walked past him. A woman hurried over. Mrs. Cole, your wedding was lovely. Amara stopped. You called my husband a street beggar. The woman looked around. I was only repeating what someone else said. You chose to repeat it. The woman lowered her head and moved away. At the main doors, the hotel cleaners stood beside the walls. They had watched the guests laugh, but none of them had joined in. One young cleaner had even brought Daniel water when the scooter stopped outside. Daniel walked to him. What is your name? Samuel, sir. Thank you for the water. Samuel looked shocked. It was only water. It was kindness when others were cruel. Daniel asked Grace to write down Samuel's name. Then he thanked the guards, cooks, drivers, and servers who had worked through the trouble without insulting anyone. Amara watched him and smiled. "This is the man I married." Daniel looked at her. "I hope I can become the man you thought I was. You can start by never testing me again." I heard that very clearly. The next morning, Daniel and Amara did not wake inside a palace. Amara had refused to leave the hotel in one of the black cars. She stayed in a simple room with Daniel, where they talked until sunrise. When the sun rose, Daniel said, "I want to give you the wedding we should have had. We are already married." "I know. I mean a day without people trying to shame us." Amara sat beside him. "No cameras. No cameras. No business leaders. Only the ones you truly want. No gold stage." Daniel smiled. "I can live without a gold stage." Amara thought for a moment. "Invite the workers." "Which workers?" "All of them. The factory workers, hotel staff, drivers, cleaners, and the people who treated us like human beings before they knew your name." Daniel's smile grew. "That sounds perfect." 1 week later, a second celebration was held in the open yard beside the oldest bellow factory. There were no tall gates, crystal lights, or red carpets. Long tables stood under white cloth covers. Children ran between the chairs while music played from simple speakers. The factory workers came with their families. Samuel came with his mother. The hotel cooks brought food, and the cleaners helped decorate the yard with flowers made from paper. Amara wore a plain white dress. Daniel wore the same dark suit from the first wedding, but the sleeves had been fixed. "You kept the suit," Amara said. "It survived the first wedding." "So did we." "Barely." She laughed and straightened his collar. Chief Bello and Mrs. Bello arrived without a line of guards. Chief Bello walked toward Daniel with a folder in his hands. "What is that?" Daniel asked. "A new company plan," Chief Bello said. "The workers will now receive part of the profit each year." Daniel opened the folder and read the first page. "This was your idea?" Amara helped. Amara smiled. "He argued for 3 hours." Chief Bello looked at her. "And lost." Daniel handed the folder back. "This is a good start." Chief Bello nodded. "I know trust will take time." "It will. I am ready to earn it." Daniel held out his hand. Chief Bello shook it, but neither man pretended that one handshake had fixed everything. Laura arrived carrying a box of small cakes. "I made these myself." Amara looked inside. Some were burnt at the edges. "They look dangerous," she said. Laura laughed, then quickly stopped. "Was that cruel?" "No. This time it was true." They both smiled. During the meal, Daniel stood before the workers. He did not use a tall stage. He stood on the ground with everyone else. "Many of you nearly lost your jobs because powerful people treated your lives like pieces in a game," he said. "That should never have happened." The yard became quiet. The rescue money will keep the factories open, but money alone will not fix every problem. From today, workers will have people at every important meeting. No large choice will be made without someone speaking for the families who depend on this company. A woman near the front raised her hand. "Does that mean we can tell Chief Bello when he is wrong?" The crowd laughed. Chief Bello stood. "Yes, even when you enjoy it too much." The workers clapped. Daniel continued. "This company will not belong to one proud man. It will be built by everyone who works here." When he finished, the people did not bow. They surrounded him, shook his hand, and spoke to him like a man, not a king. That meant more to Daniel than the greetings from the powerful guests at the hotel. Later, Grace told him that Victor had been charged for damaging the car and trying to take control of Bello Holdings through lies. His company had also lost several deals after the truth became public. "Should Cole Global buy his company?" Grace asked. "No," Daniel said. "We could take it for a very low price." "I do not want it." "What about the guests who asked for meetings?" "Cancel them. All of them. Anyone who laughed at the workers, the hotel staff, or Amara can do business somewhere else." Grace nodded. Understood. Daniel looked across the yard at workers eating with their children. He remembered the grand hall, where people had measured him by a car. Here, nobody asked how much he owned. A boy waved a paper flower at him, and Daniel waved back. Amara saw the peace on his face and understood that this simple place had given him more joy than the shining rooms he controlled. As evening came, the workers gathered near the yard entrance. A soft engine sound came from behind the factory. Put, 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 put. The old blue scooter rolled into view. Amara covered her mouth. You repaired it. Daniel stopped in front of her. Both mirrors were now in place, the light was fixed, and the smoke was gone. The paint still had scratches, but Daniel had kept every mark he could. I repaired what was broken, he said. I did not replace what mattered. He handed her a helmet. Amara looked at her dress. You expect me to ride in this? You rode with me in the rain once. I was wearing trousers. I remember. The workers began cheering. Chief Bello walked over. There are 10 cars waiting. Amara placed the helmet on her head. Let them wait. She climbed onto the scooter behind Daniel and wrapped her arms around his waist. Daniel looked back. Are you ready, Mrs. Cole? Only if this blue goat gets us home. The scooter moved forward as the crowd laughed. But this laughter was warm. No one was mocking them now. They passed the black cars, the factory gates, and the people waving behind them. Daniel did not need to hide his wealth anymore, and Amara did not need his money to know his value. The richest man in the country left his wedding on an old scooter, carrying the one thing all his money could never buy. A woman who had chosen him when she believed he had nothing.